लैपटॉप.
हम्म, हो रहा है
I'll
रिकॉर्ड.
I'll just ask एक बार this guy also. Should I record it on cloud or?
डज ही रिकॉर्ड इट ऑन क्लाउड तो ध्रुव ना. ध्रुव का तबीयत कैसा है?
He was doing better. अभी आया था वो मेरे को देख के गया है ना उसमें.
हम्म.
He was saying he is doing better. मैंने बोला चलो अगर फ्री हो तो आई एम स्टिल इन दिल्ली ओनली.
हम्म.
वो कहता है मतलब बताएगा. मैं कहा ठीक है.
हम्म.
मैं मोस्टली संडे मंडे तक आई हैव टू लीव. आई हैव टू बुक माई टिकट टुडे समहाउ.
क्या नॉर्मली घूमने आए हो या काम?
हैदराबाद काम के लिए.
हाँ, नहीं नहीं, दिल्ली क्या घूमने आए हो?
दिल्ली थोड़ा सा टाइम पास. थोड़ा सा लोगों को
हम्म.
मिलना. वो सब.
हम्म.
सम रैंडम रैंडम शिट.
हाँ,
आई
ठीक
थॉट
है.
कुछ काम मिल जाएगा बट मिला नहीं. बट ठीक है. अभी क्या कर. आई वॉज जेन्युइनली थिंकिंग कुछ मिलेगा. ए अभी और आ क्या रहा है वैसे थिएटर में.
अ, इस वीक तो आई डोंट इवन नो क्या आ रहा है इस वीक. सो
कल फ्राइडे है ना
कल
नेक्स्ट वीक.
फ्राइडे है. नेक्स्ट
अरे
वीक सर सबसे बड़ा मदर लोड आ रहा है नेक्स्ट वीक.
पुष्पा.
हम्म. आई एम तो जेन्युइनली क्यूरियस अबाउट दिस मूवी क्योंकि मूवी का अभी भी शूटिंग चल रहा है.
नहीं खत्म किया अपेरेंटली इन्होंने. बट
हुआ खत्म. फाइनली
बट
हुआ
सो
खत्म.
मैं अभी जब गया था ना इधर. आई वाज इन हैदराबाद तो मैं आई वाज टॉकिंग टू माय फ्रेंड्स कि वारई एंड व्हाट इज दैट अदर तमिल फिल्म दैट कोट्टुकाली डिड नॉट रिलीज इन हैदराबाद. तो आई
ओके.
वाज लाइक आई एम सरप्राइज लाइक व्हाई डिडंट दीस फिल्म्स गेट अ रिलीज इन हैदराबाद जहाँ पे ऑलमोस्ट सारी फिल्में लगती है.
हंड्रेड
स्पेशली तमिल
परसेंट
फिल्म बिकॉज आई मीन लगी जाती बिकॉज दे आर ऑल क्लोज टू ईच अदर.
हम्म.
Not just that geographically but also I think population also
पॉपुलेशन ऑल्सो ना थोड़ा
matches
बहुत
a
तो
lot
इंटरमिक्सिंग.
right.
हाँ हाँ.
तो एंड उस टाइम पे मलयालम फिल्म लगी थी एक देवदूतन करके मोहनलाल का कोई री रिलीज था ऑफ सम ओल्ड क्लासिक फिल्म ऑफ
हम्म.
हिज. तो मैंने बोला जब
नाम.
ये लगी एंड इट वाज गोइंग हाउसफुल. तो आई वाज
ओके.
लाइक यार आई वाज एक्सपेक्टिंग सॉर्ट ऑफ कि दोस फिल्म्स विल also get a release. तो आई वाज डिस्कसिंग विद माय फ्रेंड्स दे वर लाइक कि यहाँ पे ऐसा ही होता है इन द सेंस दैट थिंग्स हैपन ऑलमोस्ट लास्ट मोमेंट. यहाँ पे दिल्ली जैसा हफ्ते भर पहले बुकिंग्स नहीं खुलता है. यहाँ पे लास्ट मोमेंट तक चीजें चलते रहती. सो दिस टाइम
मतलब इन अ बिग सिटी लाइक हैदराबाद ऑल्सो
हाँ.
वैसा ही होता है लास्ट
सो
सेकंड.
संक्रांति पे देर वॉज दिस वन फिल्म विच केम आउट नागार्जुना का. संक्रांति had like what bunch of releases no like चार चार
या
पांच पांच फिल्में.
संक्रांति इज लाइक दे दुर्गा पूजा, वो 5 या 6
हाँ.
मूवीज निकलते हैं
संक्रांति
संक्रांति.
दसरा टू टाइम्स जहाँ पे फिल्में रिलीज होती बिकॉज लोग सब देखने जाते हैं.
हम्म.
तो आई वाज लाइक भाई चार चार फिल्में रिलीज करने का क्या मतलब है. तुम लोग यूर
हम्म.
बेसिकली कट ईटिंग इनटू ईच अदर्स बिजनेसेस एट द एंड ऑफ द डे.
हम्म.
क्या पॉइंट है बोलते हैं नहीं. द मूड इज वेरी फेस्टिव तो यू नीड टू गो एंड वॉच मतलब. तो देयर वाज दिस फिल्म अगेन आई वाज कमिंग बैक टू दैट नागार्जुना का मूवी ना सामी रंगा.
हम्म.
Film released I think 2 days after Sakranti, something like that. It was I think Sakranti was 12th and it released on 14th or something.
हम्म.
उसका शूटिंग खत्म हुआ था 10th जनवरी को.
हम्म.
तो व्हाट 4 days गैप था बीच 4 दिन के बीच में उन्होंने पिक्चर रिलीज किया. नाउ आई हैव नो क्लू उन्होंने उसको सेंसर के लिए इस टाइम पे कब भेजा. सेंडिंग आउट द प्रिंट्स इज ऑल्सो 1 day जॉब प्रॉपर.
हम्म.
लाइक द डिजिटल पूरा हार्ड डिस्क जो लेके जाना होता है.
हम्म.
आई एम लाइक दिस इज लाइक टू इंसेन लाइक. तुम लोग को ऐसा वो नहीं हो जाता पैनिक ना हो जाए किसी को भाई करने में.
हम्म.
तो पुष्पा का द थिंग इज इवन व्हेन यू रिमेंबर आई हैड मेंशन दैट आई हैड गॉन उसका शूट
हाँ
हुआ
हाँ,
विदेश.
बोला तुमने, हाँ
यू आर डूइंग
हाँ.
सम पैच वर्क एंड व्हाट नॉट.
हम्म.
तो उस टाइम पे
अच्छा, बाय द वे ऑडियो ठीक है ना मेरा?
हाँ इट्स गुड ओनली.
ओके ओके फाइन, बोलो बोलो.
दे वर डूइंग सम पार्ट एंड वहां पे यूनिट प्रोडक्शन मैनेजर एवरीवन वाज देयर. एंड द मूड वाज कंप्लीटली नेगेटिव इन द सेंस कि दे वर लाइक ये पिक्चर नहीं आ रही दिसंबर में भी फॉर श्योर. दैट वाज द पर्सपेक्टिव. दिस इज लेट अगस्त लाइक अगस्त 28.
वो बीच में लफड़ा हुआ था ना सुकुमार और अल्लू अर्जुन के बीच में, वो तो
This is
लेजिट है.
this is this was that time only.
हाँ, वो तो
And
लेजिट है,
it
वो
was
लफड़ा तो
legit.
हुआ था, लेजिट लेजिट लफड़ा हुआ था
And the
दोनों.
thing is, they've got such good history of doing films like since Arya and like late early 2010s or Arya 2 and so many movies that they have done. कि nobody expected something like this would happen, but it
हम्म.
did happen. So I mean, it was unfortunately, but अभी शूटिंग खत्म किया है but I think सेंसर भी आ गया but I think उसमें फिर भी थोड़ा निबलिंग विबलिंग करते रहेंगे यार.
हम्म.
You never know because the
सर
process is such.
सर मूवी 3 घंटा 21 मिनट का है.
आई वाज लाइक दिस इज सो अनकैनी. एनिमल का भी उतना ही था लिटरली. It's
सर हर दिसंबर को एक 3.5 घंटे का मूवी क्या पैटर्न
and
होने वाला है
around the
क्या?
same and around the same time also. It's not
हाँ,
even like कि आगे पीछे कुछ.
हाँ।
अरे
ये
it's
क्या
too much.
पैटर्न होने वाला है? एक तेलुगु फिल्म मेकर आता है, एक 3.5 घंटे का मूवी देता है जो कंट्रोवर्शियल होता है, ये हो क्या रहा है? ये
Are
क्या
you
पैटर्न है?
are you going for it on first day itself?
आर यू किडिंग मी? आई एम नॉट।
सच में? I
और
thought you'll go.
पागल हो क्या? पागल हो क्या? नो नो, आई एम वेटिंग फॉर दिस। सो अहेंद्रिला एंड मेरा हैव अ ऑनलाइन डेट ऑन दिस, क्योंकि
हाँ.
द फर्स्ट मूवी वी स्टार्टेड विच बिगन आवर फ्रेंडशिप वाज पुष्पा 1। वी
Oh,
वर
this
लाइक
is 2021.
2021, we had just
हाँ.
started talking and I was like, let's watch a movie, she's like, let's watch a bad movie. I'm like, I don't know if this is a bad movie, let's watch Pushpa 1. That was our first movie we watched. That movie was so bad.
I know, I know. I remember. No, I remember your reaction. I remember how even I thought the film was supposed to be and how it turned out to be.
Yeah, and now this is like we are excited. We are like Prime Video पे आ रहे तो we are watching this. I'm like, okay man, whiskey लेके बैठूंगा मैं।
Arey,
क्या
this is.
बना है?
I think it's going to be a slight miss only. I also feel that they've just somehow finished. They'll somehow finish the film.
हम्म,
मतलब वो सोचते रहे कि हम बड़ा बनाएंगे, बड़ा बनाएंगे.
हम्म,
वो करने के चक्कर में they've done some half-hearted work.
हम्म।
And now they'll be like, नहीं नहीं हम 3 में और अच्छे से करेंगे. But I don't think so. 3
मेरा
will happen.
मेरा एक सिंपल क्वेश्चन है। पुष्पा 1 में स्टोरी भी क्या था? पुष्पा 1 तो चला अल्लू अर्जुन के लिए, पुष्पा 2 भी तो इसीलिए ही चलेगा
हाँ वो
अल्लू अर्जुन के
कैरेक्टर
लिए।
नो कैरेक्टर बनाया है. जो भी उनको लगा वाज इंटरेस्टिंग है ना. आई थॉट इट
हम्म।
वाज. अरे
पुष्पा
व्हाट टू
का
से.
डिफेंडर्स का बात सुनना चाहिए। पुष्पा के डिफेंडर्स कहते हैं इट्स अ मूवी अबाउट द प्रोलेटेरिएट। वर्किंग क्लास को दिखाया, हम लोग वर्किंग क्लास को छपरी दिखा रहे हैं, ये
अच्छा.
प्रोलेटेरिएट।
अरे दिस इज दैट थिंग ओनली ना दैट दे वर ट्राइंग टू बिल्ड कंपैरिजन विद दीवार का अमिताभ बच्चन.
हाँ, हाँ, हाँ।
राइट. मेरे को ये याद है दे वर ट्राइंग टू डू सम लाइक
हम्म,
देयर वाज सम कंपैरिजन वाला बट आई वाज लाइक हाँ दैट
हाँ,
दैट स्टेटमेंट अप्लाइज इन अ वे
हाँ।
कि ही इज.
टट्टी का दद्दू का रिव्यू आज याद आ गया, टट्टी का तिरामिसू। बेसिकली टट्टी का तिरामिसू ही है।
नो नो. चलो आई थिंक विल स्टार्ट.
जादू मंतर जादू मंतर जादू मंतर। You are going into the future.
You talking to me?
Ain't always me being seen closing. என் பேர் மாணிக்கம், எனக்கு இன்னொரு பேர் இருக்கு.
Talking to me?
Queen is dead.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm Sanjeet, and I have Amartya with me. And if you are listening to this episode, you know which films we are talking about. Films that involve a lot of talking in general. And one is a very recent release. The other one came out a couple of months back, but it's been trending for a while and for all the right reasons. So the two films that we are actually talking about are I Want to Talk by Shoojit Sircar, which is in theaters at the moment, and the other film is Meiyazhagan by C. Prem Kumar, which is on Netflix. Both are incredibly well-made films. Both are backed by really interesting artists, I would say, or actors, or and directors also. Uh, I think we should start mostly with I Want to Talk because it's the more recent film in theaters, and I think Meiyagagan is also more leisurely in its approach. So we'll also go to it with
विल गो ऑल्सो लेजरली ओनली।
towards it.
बस
So I
राइड
just,
लेते हैं, बस राइड लेके चलते हैं स्लोली
but
स्टेडी।
I'm just sad that I Want to Talk is in a position that it's not reaching out to people. Um, and beyond that, I'm surprised. Again, this is I don't know the reality of how it was budgeted or whatever.
हम्म,
But I read like whatever articles that are available or some websites, they're saying it is budgeted over 30 crores or 40 crores.
हम्म,
And I'm like, conception में ही मतलब वो जो idea conception है,
हम्म,
that itself is so far away from anything. Like leave commercial, like leave like terms like commercial or mainstream also,
Hmm.
but just the idea of a film that reaches out to more people.
Hmm.
So I don't understand like how why would they take up a decision like that? But before going to that, I should actually tell the synopsis of the film.
Hmm.
So the synopsis here it goes from IMDb. A father and his daughter navigate their routine lives in USA
Ye-
until an
hmm.
unexpected medical diagnosis alters their path. This was
Hmm.
on this was on IMDb, but it's not like what it sounds honestly.
Hmm.
Um, I thought it was more focused on अपना अभिषेक बच्चन का कैरेक्टर. But what did you think about the film in general? Very basic.
Basic. I liked it. The Shoojit Sircar's films always manage to be very subtle with their emotions, right?
Hmm.
So I think this film is also very subtle with its emotion, but I think this film is
Yeah.
also it's it's harking back to somewhat of a Piku territory. It's not going that broad. Okay, matlab,
Hmm.
Shujit Sarkar's level of broad is not Priyadarshan or whatever level of broad.
Yeah,
Shujit
yeah, I
Sarkar's level
know.
of broad is funny, accessible broad.
Right.
This is not that, but this is kind of reaching there. I also think that its matlab, connection to Piku is very apparent also because it's again
हाँ.
dealing with matlab, Bengalis not living within West Bengal. In that case, it was in Delhi. In this case,
Hmm.
it's in California. So it's
Yes.
like Bengalis living away from their homeland, trying to
Hmm.
retain their Bengaliness without calling back attention to that said fact. That's one of the things which matters here. Also, the connection to Piku
Hmm.
is the father-daughter relationship,
Hmm.
which is a major factor, which was a major factor in Piku. Except for Piku, the conception stems from the daughter's perspective of her ailing father.
Right. This is from the father's perspective.
This is both. This
Hmm.
is like the father's perspective of dealing with it, and
Hmm.
slowly and steadily the movie becomes the daughter's
Shifts to
perspective,
daughter's
shifts to it.
perspective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I,
And
go ahead.
the final connection of course is that there is a Bachchan in both those movies. But yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
I thought it was I related it more to October than Piku
I haven't
because I
seen
think.
October.
Oh,
I
you've not
haven't.
seen October? Oh,
No.
I mean, so Dhruv and I have discussed October at
Hmm.
length in general.
Hmm.
This is
Hmm.
I'm talking like during pandemic when we used to speak, and I think that's when we started recording these episodes also. So उस time भी we at some point we did discuss अपना one of the biggest episodes. I mean, in terms of reach was also Sardar Udham का episode,
Sadar Udham, yeah.
which I think was October 16th or something 2021.
Hmm.
And I genuinely loved that film. I don't think so.
Fantastic film.
There is a film by Shoojit Sircar which I don't like. I think
Hmm.
there's one film that he produced which I didn't watch, which is that Shadi.com or
Maybe.
something. I forgot. It was some with Tapsi Pannu. I think that was the
Hmm.
film. I didn't watch. But Pink also infamously was taken over by him. So I
Hmm.
consider that also in a part of his,
Hmm.
directorial
Though
venture.
in case of Pink, I have also heard ki Aniruddha Mukherjee, right? I think he
Anirudh
was
Roy Chaudhary.
Aniruddha Roy Chaudhary. He directed a lot of it, so it's like that.
No, he did direct, but again, this is what I've read. I don't
Hmm.
know factual truth about it.
Hmm.
That he did take over the sort of production, and he took a lot of creative decisions with how
Hmm.
the actors were acting or how it's going to
Hmm.
be shot. I think it was shot with like multiple cameras, like like five,
Yeah.
6, 7 of them or whatever.
Hmm.
Like the Ridley Scott conversation that
Like
we
the
just
Ridley
had.
Scott convo we had, yes.
um, so that sort of dictated how the film became what it did and all of that. So in and most of the discussions I've had with Dhruv about like Shoojit
Hmm.
Sircar's filmography and everything, what I appreciated was the sort of seamlessness of the drama. Like it's like he just throws you in it and you're part of it.
Yeah.
Now I did not like Piku. I mean, I did like Piku on my first watch. It was in theater. I think this was Ap- May 8th, 2015 or something like that. This was a week before Bombay Velvet. I remember.
Right. Hmm.
And it was so, I mean, promos made it looked like as if it's a road movie, but it wasn't just that. It was
No.
so many different things that are happening. And I think that sort of happens in October also. October is also sort of mismarketed in a way. I did not see the trailer for I Want to Talk, but even I Want to Talk is trying to reach so many things at the same time
Hmm.
without emphasizing on that one particular
Hmm.
thing. Um, I thought it's not a negative in any way, but I thought it went too anti-drama in its approach,
Yeah,
and I think it alienated a lot
it
of
got
people.
it got very. I think there are two terms to use here. I think number one, it's got
Hmm.
very episodic. Uh,
Hmm. Hmm.
matlab,
Hmm.
see, the point being, Piku is also quote unquote episodic. ठीक है?
Right, right, right. वो घर से
Until the
कहाँ
road
कहाँ
movie
शिफ्ट होती है.
becomes until
हाँ.
the road movie का narrative starts. Before that, it is very
Hmm.
episodic.
Right.
October I haven't seen, but from your description I can understand it. It थोड़ा बहुत episodic scenes
Yes.
वहाँ पर भी है.
है
But
है.
in case of Piku at least, the episodic nature and the overall narrative nature flows better. I think
Hmm.
in I want to talk, the episodic nature was so apparent that
Hmm.
it's almost jarring to a certain degree. मतलब disconnection हो रहा था थोड़ा बहुत, ठीक है, वो
Hmm.
episode to episode, at least for मेरे लिए. And
Hmm.
the other thing is कि uh, it's वो anti drama thingy, I think it's becoming too tinged with the quote unquote realism of it all,
Hmm.
or even if you take into account realism, अब movie में भी realism दिखाने का कुछ तरकीब है, ठीक है.
Right,
I
right,
think
right.
I think it is even foregoing those things about realism. It is
Hmm.
like harkening back to more like slice of life movies which are very reminiscent of, I don't know, Ray maybe. ठीक है,
Hmm.
because Shoojit Sircar is very much,
He's
yeah,
like he's very verbose with that idea कि मतलब he likes rake of
he
cinema
likes
and
rake of cinema, yeah, yeah. But
no, go for it,
huh,
go ahead, go ahead.
no, no, no,
No,
that's the main
I
thoughts.
what the first thing that I got off of the film was एक तो I mean now we are delving into spoilers so I mean if
Hmm.
people haven't watched it I think you should definitely go and watch the film
Yeah, yeah, I think you
because
should
it's
watch
something
it
very
for
interesting.
the very simple reason कि many I know that
Hmm.
theater going audiences, I am not one of them, but theater going audiences are still there. They still exist, right?
Right, right.
But for them, at least people who like Bollywood,
Hmm.
variety थोड़ा कम है, because
Hmm.
in many cases all of these commercial movies, be it the mass movie or be it the masala movie, they are all loud and they're all reaching to the widest possible audiences,
Hmm.
which pre the pandemic wasn't the case in theaters. In
Right,
theaters
right, right,
lots of movies used to come counter programming के हिसाब से.
right, 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 right. I
Nowadays
mean,
counter
October
programming
was
itself
one
is
big example.
reality.
No?
Yeah.
October was one big example of that. I remember. Um, Again, the numbers can be doubted everywhere, but I went on the first day itself with two of my friends,
Hmm.
thinking October was a certain kind of film,
Hmm.
um, because it was through the promos and
Hmm.
everything. We went into the film, and I didn't realize. I mean, I had no clue what the film really was, honestly.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And it turned out to be some like it flipped completely. Like I didn't even understand like what really was happening. Like
Hmm.
so,
Hmm.
my first reaction to most of his films have been slightly on the colder side because I'm like I have too many things to think about this, and I've not been able to project my feelings for that like very
Hmm.
um in the nicest way possible. I think Sardar Udham and Pink were the only two जिसमें मेरा reaction was very immediate to the
Hmm.
film.
Hmm. Hmm.
बिकॉज आई थिंक वो फिल्म को उस मोमेंट की बात कर रही होती है ना तो
Yeah,
तुम्हें
yeah, yeah.
बांध
Hmm.
देती है तो वो फीलिंग आती है आई मीन अक्टूबर ऑल्सो डिड इट टू एन
Hmm.
एक्सटेंट आई वुड से बट आई डोंट नो आई थिंक इट वाज आल्सो me trying to connect with Varun Dhawan's character in the film and trying to process emotions as he would.
Hmm.
It took me a little bit of time to actually, I mean, let the film grow on me, honestly.
Hmm. Hmm.
I mean, I think you should watch it because so I thought I want to talk was takes the filmmaking aesthetic which was there in October,
Okay.
like the nothingness of things.
Hmm.
uh,
Hmm. 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 The
वो यहाँ पे
mundanity. The
उसने पूरा
mundanity more like.
स्ट्रेच करके पूरी पिक्चर बनाई है.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I was surprised though by the voice over that it uses.
Yeah, which
Or,
is one major problem I do have with this
or
movie.
you think that's a problem? Then if you want to
I
talk more
think
about,
that's a problem. Again, I don't
हाँ,
know. I don't know इस साल वॉइस ओवर वाले मूवीज टेलीविजन शोज में हो क्या रहा है, ठीक है, कोई काम
what
नहीं कर
else? What
रहा है.
else?
Disclaimer, Alfonso Cuarón.
Ah, right, which you didn't enjoy, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think voiceover overall is a problem per se, because I think
Hmm.
voiceover का जो tonality है मूवी का भी वही tonality है, ठीक है, very low
हाँ.
key. So
Hmm.
voiceover का tonality और मूवी का tonality मैच कर रहा है. I think the
Hmm.
voiceover needed to be lesser. थोड़ा कम करना चाहिए था the voiceover.
अच्छा.
It needed to be lesser. It did not need to be so much. मतलब voiceover रखो. I have no issues with that.
Remind me, was the voiceover in past tense or present tense as it was happening?
I think it was within the moment only. It was going on
Within
in
the moment?
present.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
I didn't remember that part.
Hmm.
Sorry, continue.
No, it was within the moment. So I'm like, I can understand what the voiceover is doing. It is bringing forth exposition and everything, and exposition being थोड़ा clunky is ठीक है. Clunky exposition होता
Hmm.
रहता है, writers के साथ होता रहता है.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
fine, whatever.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
point being कि it needed to be lesser, because you can see that Shoojit Sircar is focusing very much on silences, right? He is very
Right.
much focusing on very specific moments. इसलिए
Hmm.
like the shots are running for longer. Shots are
For
running longer.
longer. Right,
Yeah,
right,
so
right.
so if you're focusing on silences, focus on them, ना मतलब
Hmm.
वॉइस ओवर उतना भी जरूरत नहीं है. That's
Hmm.
what I'm saying. मतलब
Facing depleted
विजुअल के
more of that sort
या
of.
या या visual पे trust. I don't think it's a matter of trust. I also think that it's a matter of ki, again, filmmaking choices, right? So
Hmm. Hmm.
it's a choice to put the voiceover. I did not agree so much with it. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work
Hmm.
all the time. It works
Hmm.
at some
Hmm.
instances, of course.
I genuinely like. I thought it was a very weird decision.
Hmm.
I didn't mind it as
Agree.
much
Agree.
about the amount of it. I thought it is weird in the sense like I'm like I did not expect first of all narration to
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
Um, because मुझे पता नहीं कि इसका आगे पीछे पैकेजिंग क्या है. मतलब इन द सेंस
Yeah.
इज ही नरेटिंग इट टू समवन और वरना वो तो मुझसे डायरेक्टली बात कर रहा है. बट थ्रू आउट द फिल्म इट डजंट एक्सप्लेन मी एनीथिंग लाइक वो
Hmm.
कुछ साल का गैप जब होता है द
Hmm.
टाइम जब इट टेक्स व्हाट रियली हैपेंड इन दैट वो मुझे कभी इसने बताया नहीं.
No. Hmm.
राइट. आई मीन to arrive to that also I was like ठीक है, I can understand that this is a decision to again reach out to more people, but the drama is so far away from that
Yeah,
threshold.
it's making you even more distant, right? A voiceover
Right.
voiceover by its basic definition means that you're looking from above,
हाँ.
basically. मतलब
हम्म.
entire point being
God's
voiceover.
narration हो जाता है. हाँ.
हाँ. So you're looking from above. You're already being distant, and considering कि it is not focusing on traditional modes of dramatic storytelling, मतलब it is
हम्म.
staying away from those. It is
हम्म.
already pushing you away, at least towards conventional audiences. It is thoda bahut pushing you away. The
हम्म.
reason why it doesn't entirely push you away, because the feelings are mostly universal, right? And
हम्म.
because it is so quote unquote anti drama, the term which you used,
हम्म.
इसीलिए जो sickness दिखाते हैं, जो diagnosis दिखाते हैं of the
हम्म.
of
हम्म.
the cancer and everything, and how the cancer is spreading, and इसलिए
हम्म.
the cutting and everything, more than the humor, it is the dryness of the dealing with that is actually way more impactful for I want to talk.
हम्म.
Like
No, it
there is a
works
scene,
for
ठीक है,
sure. हाँ.
there is a scene in not even, मतलब वो second half के बाद में आता है कि
अच्छा.
not even second half, I think first half के पीछे. So it's like he goes to meet his nurse friend, right? And he's
Nancy.
going to
हाँ.
meet his nurse friend Nancy, and
And
while
then
raising his hand, he has a heart attack.
heart attack. Right.
And that comes
Hmm.
out of nowhere, and the movie doesn't deal with it like with a big thumping score and everything. None of it.
Nothing. It just happens.
It just happens, and I'm like, that is more impactful, because if the entire point is being anti-drama and just showing you the realism, that is how reality actually works. You actually
Hmm.
don't know what will
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
So
No,
he's eating you heavily with
the,
that.
the documenting part also in general. I mean, it's
Hmm.
not a fair comparison, honestly. But I was just thinking about how like two different films are working with sort of similar idea. Like I remember First Man, right?
Right.
First Man may the style choice to shoot that film was very documentary-ish, right? It
Yes.
felt like
Yes.
he's just taking moments from this guy's life.
Mhm.
But then this guy, you see this guy also expressing. I mean, I'm talking Armstrong.
Yeah.
he expresses sadness, he expresses grief.
Hmm.
I mean, there is a scene where he has an outburst also, right? I mean, in the opening, he has that bracelet which he keeps it inside and shuts it off. I mean, he's shutting off his feelings, but
Hmm.
there was a lot of feeling that was getting translated more. Now here also, I thought the stylistic choice of, let's say, the camera aesthetic and everything was also very documentary, as if you're
Yeah, yeah,
documenting
100%. Yeah, yeah,
Arjun
totally.
Das's life. I mean, in his office
Arjun
conference
Sen,
room
I
to
think.
uh,
Arjun
Arjun
Sen,
Sen. Sorry, not Arjun
yeah.
Das. Right, you're right.
Hmm.
Arjun Sen. Um, and then here the character itself is very calculative. That marketing guy, everything is a lie.
Hmm. Hmm.
You need to show me, like, on paper of doing things so
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
I know what is the tangibility of things rather than
Hmm.
me imagining it
Me
and
imagining it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for
Hmm.
calculation. Now I thought that sort of again took another step for in that distant idea of displaying emotion.
Hmm.
But there is a
And also distancing you more and more, because the entire point of the
right,
movie is again
right,
distancing it. Yeah.
right. And there is that one scene in the film which I absolutely loved. So I thought because father daughter hai,
Hmm.
there will be some sort of more emotional connect to her. Like
Yeah.
when I say emotional connect, needed to be more a little more expressive than it was because I felt,
Okay.
again, this is my feelings, again,
Hmm.
not what I wanted, but that's what I felt because वो इंसान का core क्या है, मतलब that's what I was trying to define. Then I
Hmm.
realized the daughter is his core, right?
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
There is that scene where she's at that puja, that I think it's
Yeah, yeah,
Shiva,
yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
and then she's disappointed that her father didn't show up to that place.
Hmm.
She goes back
Hmm. Hmm.
to his house, asks him if it pains or whatever. I don't remember
Yeah,
what
yeah, the scar wala thingy.
scar. Ha,
Hmm.
she asks him to show that scar
Hmm.
on his body.
Hmm.
He goes back to her car. We don't even see the mother, I mean his
Yeah, yeah,
wife
yeah.
properly,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Because it's
Hmm.
never about her
It's
or
never
what.
about her. It's about their
Yeah.
relationship. It's never about her.
And then
Yeah.
she just gets her bag and just goes off and sleeps.
Hmm.
Then a moment after that was when she asked if she can sleep on the same bed and
Hmm. Hmm.
with her father. And I thought there'll be some sort of embrace that will happen between them.
Hmm.
That sort of vulnerability that will happen.
Hmm.
That never happened. And I think that catharsis sort of happens when she's pushing him for
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
marathon.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm jumping ahead in the gun and telling you,
Hmm. Hmm.
but that scene itself was so defining for me because like this is the film.
Yeah, it is.
Matlab,
It
hmm,
it the entire thesis of I want to talk is basically that I want to connect, but my only
yeah,
mode of connection or communication is my articulation.
right.
Hilarious, considering we both are podcasting. But my
Uh,
only mode of communication is articulation, and I'm losing
hmm,
that mode very quickly,
hmm,
because one, I'm going to
yeah,
die. Two, I'm going to conduct surgeries on myself, essentially manipulating my doctor and conducting surgeries on
right,
myself to
right.
ensure
And
that
losing yourself
in the
physically.
process, yeah, in the
Yeah, yeah.
process. So my time anyway is running out, even though I'm
Hmm,
extending my life, it is running out. So it's better I try to talk, and it's always a
hmm,
tussle there, but
hmm,
it's
hmm,
also
hmm,
simultaneously low key, because he's trying to put it as anti drama and as quote unquote realist as possible as
hmm,
he
hmm,
could.
hmm, hmm, hmm,
I also think that this realism is kind of counterproductive, because realism मतलब थोड़ा बहुत स्नैपशॉट पिक्चर है ये मूवी, ठीक
vignettes.
है. हाँ,
हाँ.
वेरी विनियट स्टोरी टेलिंग. तो उससे
Hmm,
प्रॉब्लम क्या है? प्रॉब्लम ये है कि it becomes very solipsistic ना, because your entire character is अभिषेक बच्चन
hmm,
का character, and
hmm, hmm,
फिर
hmm.
the daughter character, one is the kid version of the daughter character, and then the teenager version of
The-
the daughter character.
right, right.
वो दोनों character ही main है.
Hmm,
That ensure that makes it so distant to you from all the other supporting characters, then they basically drop
hmm.
in and out of the narrative, ठीक है. Like उसका एक दोस्त है who is long haired, right?
Right, who passes
Yeah,
away in the film.
who passes away. When he passes away, I shit you not, I was literally confused for a second. I'm like, ये कौन सा
Who
दोस्त था?
died?
Yeah, I shit you not.
It took me a second, then I saw his wife. Then I
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
remembered her from that car sequence में that when he gives her when he gives those gifts and everything, and I was like, ah, okay, that guy died.
Yeah, and because you are talking like that, ki I saw the wife and then I remembered this is similar to what happens when you look at through old photographs and then you suddenly see this person and you're like, ये कौन है? And your mother is telling you, अरे ये वो uncle के दोस्त है ना ये. This is literally that.
Ah, ah,
This is the level of distance the movie is doing. I'm not saying it is good
hmm,
or bad. I'm saying that is the
right.
movie's design. It either
No, no,
works
no.
for you or it doesn't.
Yeah, his
And
brother shows up literally for a scene. He's
yeah,
there in literally two shots, no, three
two
shots
shot,
in the film.
three shots in the entire film. Yeah.
One in the car, one in the clinic, and then in the garden where he's like trying to
Hmm.
not puke or whatever, looking at what he's getting.
You know what the
But
thing
that's
is,
a very
ki,
interesting choice, honestly.
yeah, it's a choice and it's a see
Mm,
snapshot films work. ठीक है. In
right.
some movies might have benefited from snapshot filmmaking. ठीक है.
Mm.
Andrew Dominic का Blonde, I'm looking at you. Snapshot
I
कर
still
देता.
haven't seen it.
मत देखो, please, for the love of God. But
Uh,
uh, some movies benefit from snapshot filmmaking because it is
mm,
realistic. You are basically like a observer observing into one person's life. You're watching through
mm,
moments and then you're
mm,
walking away. And then
mm,
you're
mm,
walking
mm.
away. That's the entire thesis of snapshot. The
Right.
point being that her snapshot, even within snapshot filmmaking, you need one central through line. ठीक है. अब
Right.
तुम्हारा central through line either is narrative or is character. अब यहाँ पर सेंट्रल थ्रू लाइन नैरेटिव नहीं है. सेंट्रल थ्रू लाइन नैरेटिव नहीं है बिकॉज नैरेटिव
Character.
ही
है.
एपिसोडिक है. सो
Right.
सेंट्रल थ्रू लाइन तुम्हारा कैरेक्टर है. अब
Mm,
प्रॉब्लम है कि एक सिंगल कैरेक्टर है इसलिए फोकस हमेशा वहां पर ही है. इसलिए बाकी सब एंसिलरी हो जाता है एंड इसलिए इट बिकम्स वेरी क्या बोलते हैं मतलब थोड़ा मीट ऑन द बोन थोड़ा कम लगता है एटलीस्ट इन सब के क्योंकि जॉनी लीवर का कैरेक्टर आता है जाता है हमें पता भी नहीं ये कौन है. ठीक है. ही इज लाइक अ मूवर ही इज अ रिपेयरमैन ही इज फ्रेंड्स विथ हिम.
हाँ.
हाउ इज ही फ्रेंड्स विथ हिम वी हैव नो आइडिया.
Yeah.
So the only way to connect with these characters is through the performances, and I have to
Mm,
give a lot of credit to Abhishek Bachchan
mm.
because he is exceptionally good in this movie.
I know, I know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's so good in this movie. Could
I
not
think this
believe
is
how
the,
good he is.
honestly speaking, I feel he has nothing to lose now.
No, of course not.
मतलब, I'm assuming that he's got a lot of money.
Hmm.
He should take more risky choices and just go like completely avant-garde
But
with
I
this
think he's
idea.
doing that, right? I think he's
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah. I
Like
was
that.
happy when he did something like Ludo, where he's not
Hmm.
completely central or whatever. But his relationship is the one thing that sold a lot of the film in general, I remember. I know you don't like so much of it.
No, I don't. But even Ludo had a
Yeah,
relationship between his character and the kid, right? Which basically is
right.
a
That's
surrogate
exactly
daughter.
what I.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So kind of that only similar thingy. But
Uh,
again with Abhishek Bachchan, I think I was talking about this with my mother. I think
hmm.
Abhishek Bachchan का problem था तो एक तो उसका surname. ठीक है. I'm not saying surname is the problem. I'm saying
I
surname का
know
association is the problem.
the heaviness of that idea.
The heaviness of that and nobody can deny it, right? You can't do
Hmm.
anything about it. But
Hmm.
when he was launched as a leading man to the extent that I remember Time magazine and all those magazines जो घर में आता था उसका headline था
Hmm.
बॉलीवुड का नया युवराज or some shit like that. ठीक है.
Hmm.
Like they were marketing him to be the next big thing. भाई उतना प्रेशर कौन ले सकता है
Hmm.
to be the next big thing. So he was always coming up short as a leading man, and the only times he did not come up short is when he was helmed by great director. He was helmed by Mani Ratnam, which is
Hmm.
why Guru worked.
Guru. And even Ravan, I think, is quite nice in general.
Ravan is good, but if you have seen Vikram's Ravan, then Abhishek Bachchan ka
Of
performance
course,
goes
that's
short
like,
anyway. Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So you can understand where he's going with this. But he was always good as a supporting character, right? Which is why
Hmm.
he was
Hmm.
good in Kejo's movies. He was good in Farah Khan's Happy New Year, one of the best parts of that shit movie. And then he was also good in another shit movie, which is Bol Bachchan.
Right. I think he was. I
Yeah,
think both. I think I like both the performances in that film. I know
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
digressing,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I
No,
think the
no.
performances triumph over
He's very
the
good. He's
whole
a very
film.
good supporting player, but I also think that he is. मतलब उतना प्रेशर आदमी को नहीं चाहिए. ही इज गुड एट प्लेइंग सटलर रोल्स. ही इज नॉट गुड एट
Hmm.
प्लेइंग लार्ज मतलब कि take up on the screen role, which is why Manmarzia actually worked for me also,
I
because
liked
he
it.
was a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
counterpoint.
Hmm.
He was a good
I mean,
counterpoint to.
his the character, he's like completely into himself in a way. Like
Hmm.
he's not very expressive until
Hmm.
that song happens at Halla, and you actually see like the teardrop coming out of his
Yeah,
eye.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it counters Vicky Kaushal, who's also
Vicky
like,
Kaushal's flamboyance, yeah.
yeah. So I think वो film में उसका वो persona sort of work, but and also I think it was directed very well.
It was directed very well. And again, it's
Hmm.
like each of the movies he has been choosing, OTT ka whatever phase we like to call him,
Hmm.
he's taking different roles, or at least he's
Hmm.
taking similar roles which are
What
not.
else did he do before this? I remember Dasvi.
He did
Uh,
Dasvi, which I haven't seen. I have heard
I've
not
seen
bad
it, but
things.
it was okay. Like I
Eh.
didn't I didn't care about it.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
But what else did he do apart from Ludo,
He
Dasvi?
did breathe. He did breathe into the shadows for TV
Which
series.
I did not enjoy
I
so
did
much,
not
honestly
see.
speaking.
I did not see. So I
No,
have no idea.
there's a second season to that particular storyline as well, which I
Hmm.
was like, I'm not even going near because I
Hmm.
did not enjoy the one
Yeah.
before that.
Hmm.
I think he's made for something like this because when you let him go, when you let him be,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
I feel you're actually more expressive in that approach in a
Yes.
way. Like
Hmm.
you're able to express. And I think his performance is the one which is holding the film together. We essentially
Fully, 100%.
like
This is
that is a
this is the
summation
lead. This is
of
basically
things.
a leading role. This is basically a
Yeah.
leading role to the extent that he is the one. He's the glue which is holding all these, literally all these photos together. If
Hmm.
there is a
Hmm.
photo album, if this movie
Hmm.
is a photo album, his character is the spine
Right, right.
of that
There's
entire album.
one very interesting thing I thought about the film was, so start like again, I had not seen the trailer. I didn't know anything about the film. So when that person says कि मतलब 100 days में this guy is going to die,
Hmm.
pass away.
Hmm. Hmm.
तो I was like, I thought कि 100 days के period का कहानी है.
Hmm.
And that really surprised me in general as a story that was unfolding. I was like, oh, like it's gone up to a point
Hmm.
where
Yeah.
now his persistence, for not just his that last dance with daughter or the first dance with daughter, I mean
Hmm.
technically, uske beyond the story has sort of gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean that is my
To the
assumption.
extent, that the real guy is still alive. So
Yeah, I mean he shows up at the end of the film, which was
yeah,
again
yeah,
I
exactly.
I
Yeah.
didn't know it was based on a real life persona.
Yeah, yeah. He's it.
Again.
I think he's adapting the real life story basically. मतलब सब
Hmm.
details same नहीं है, but basic
Right,
story
right.
same.
Like the core theme of that.
Core
So I mean,
theme
I
is
was
same.
I was I was taken aback by the idea. I mean, by the because I was like, at some point this guy is gonna die.
Yeah, yeah,
तो आई वाज लाइक ठीक है मतलब अभी मुझे पता है इस पिक्चर का एंड क्या बिकॉज सिनेमैटिकली स्पीकिंग डेथ इज द अल्टीमेट एंड टू एनी फिल्म.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
तो मुझे लगा यार ही इज गोना आई मीन
Hmm.
मुझे पता है वो मरेगा तो आई वाज
Hmm.
mentally prepared in a way.
Hmm.
And when it's sort of going towards the end, which is the marathon, where I was like, oh, is this the end of the film, or is there
Yeah.
going to be another vignette that I'm going to witness
Yeah.
closer to his death? And it never came.
No.
And I was like, this is great, like
Hmm.
in a way, because I mean it's sort of fulfilling the idea of anti-drama. It's I'm 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 happy
He's
also for the
subverting
film
every expectation. He's subverting every
completely.
expectation you would expect from a quote unquote drama. But then again, it is definitely a anti VP drama. मतलब
Hmm.
quote unquote VP dramas, which you
Hmm.
might call the next movie, which we are going to talk about, somewhat of a VP drama for very
I
different
cried five
reasons.
times or six times in that film, so I
Yeah.
genuinely there was like a lot of
Yeah, exactly. So you can call that a VP drama, but in this case,
hmm.
this is not a VP drama. So it's
Hmm.
trying heavily not to be a VP drama. So
Hmm.
मेरा issue है कि I can sense the mechanics of you trying not to make it a VP drama. Like you get,
Hmm.
right? Like he's trying hard to subvert it. I can see
Right.
the mechanics.
वो
हाँ,
genuine conscious effort है to not let that happen.
conscious effort है to not do it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I can also admire the gumption to not do it. And
Hmm.
again, because the entire movie there's so much on the character का depiction
Hmm.
that
Hmm. Hmm.
जो भी character का development हो रहा है ना, all
Hmm.
of this is portrayed through Abhishek Bachchan's performance, not in any sort of
Hmm.
exposition.
Hmm.
Like in the beginning, when the movie starts, he's like this hotshot guy right? And
हम्म
he's like this salesman who is
जो
talking
फिगर आउट कर
quickly.
चुका है कि भाई
Life
झोल करके तुम कुछ भी कर लोगे.
झोल करके तुम कुछ भी कर सकते हो, ठीक है. So and he's that, and he's speaking with quickly with his very quick Bostonian accent and everything. All that
हाँ
shit is going on.
हाँ.
By the time the movie reaches into the second act, which is when the daughter grows up and he has now become irritable, and his hotshot nature ka American accent has dropped down to a very very typical Bengali accent.
हम्म
ठीक है. And you can sense that accent, and you can
हम्म
sense that world weariness. अब ये
हम्म
बात की ये accent आ रहा है, ये world weariness आ रहा है, ये तो कोई exposition पे नहीं हो रहा है, ये तो उसका
हम्म
performance का choice है.
right.
Right, so that is coming. So even
Actually, that's a great observation because even I was wondering at some point, I was like, यार इसका interviews में American accent आता है. Why is he not doing it?
yeah,
I mean, I
because
didn't think of it until you told me now,
yeah,
honestly. Hmm.
so because he's a salesman, he's supposed to be personable to people. He's basically NTR Junior in LA interviews for RRR.
For
Basically,
triple R.
he's for Triple R. He's basically like putting on the American
In
accent
real
to be
life.
more person. Yeah, exactly. And now when his life is going through this hell, I'm like, I can't do this anymore, man. Fuck it.
Hmm.
अगर मैं खुद ग्राउंड जीरो पे आता हूँ, मुझे बंगाली एक्सेंट में ही बात करना है.
Hmm.
Fuck it.
Hmm.
लाइफ जा रहा है, मुझे ये सब सोचना है. So all these mental gymnastics I'm making, the movie is already showing me this.
Hmm.
So this is something which is why I have a problem with the voiceover. And I'm like,
Hmm.
see,
I
if
understand.
voiceover is supposed to give me exposition, but you are not
Hmm.
giving me exposition of that, but you are giving me
Hmm.
exposition of other stuff. So decrease ही
Hmm.
कर दो ना, इतना inconsistent क्यों है?
Understandable. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, again, I'll try to defend it. I'll play the devil's advocate
No,
here
I'm
by
not.
saying,
I'm not that mad at it by the way, with the
no.
voiceover, because the
I
voiceover is
know, I
also
know.
funny.
I
Voiceover is
sort
also
of
funny in some cases.
Absolutely. I thought there were moments that were genuinely funny, and I thought it sort of justified itself in the context of when it shifts the voiceover
Yes,
at the
100%.
end. And I
That
was
is
like, okay, now this
yeah.
is interesting.
This is very interesting.
I,
Should have been more. To be very
hmm,
honest, it should have been more. It should have either happened earlier or should have been more.
hmm. No, but then now that I'm thinking more about it, when we actually see the real life person,
Hmm.
he looks into the camera and talks, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's sort of, I'm thinking now more on the lines, it sort of is justifying to that sort of
Yeah.
narration or
Mhm.
whatever. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
We'll never know until unless we speak with
Yeah, and
the.
it's also like the fact that like there are some relationships which which is implied heavily कि it grows and it evolves, right? Like his
Hmm,
relationship with his doctor, it evolves from antagonism to banter, basically,
hmm.
right? But when the doctor says to the daughter कि Arjun manipulate करता है मुझे, and he's manipulating everybody to do this, I'm
Yeah.
like, that's a very good observation. I would have
Uh,
liked to actually see it.
Actually, more of that. I completely agree to the fact because I was like, why didn't I observe more of that
Why
throughout the
didn't I
film, like
observe that more of that throughout the
incidentally
film?
happening.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, how I was trying to justify that was कि मतलब because throughout whenever it is happening,
Hmm.
हमको मतलब because I feel it is through his perspective whatever incidents are
Hmm.
happening.
Hmm. Hmm.
He doesn't think it's manipulation. He's just doing it.
Hmm.
But that scene which happened between the daughter and the doctor,
Hmm.
it's not his perspective.
Yeah.
So it's more objective
One of
towards
those
that
rare
character.
moments. One of those
Exactly.
rare.
I think it's the only scene. No, there
Yeah,
are a
it's
couple
me.
of more also. I
There are
think with
2 or 3 scenes of those, but those
yeah,
are very
there
rare.
is not. Yeah.
And it's
So I
also
think
the
that's how I sort of made up in my head that maybe that's why I
if
didn't see
there
more
was a
of
scene,
something
if there
happening.
was a scene like that, na, like even if you don't want to, if you even if I take your perspective into account, जो तू कह
Hmm,
रहा है कि
hmm, hmm,
you
hmm,
know,
hmm.
for him it is not manipulation. For him, he's just doing it.
Yeah.
When you are a guy who is going through such a thing ना, like मेरा review में मेरा justification यही था कि human resilience itself is an act of manipulation, because at the end of the day it is essentially three idiots, all is well. It is essentially you
Hmm,
telling yourself that all is well. That is
hmm,
itself manipulation. So if you're doing the solipsism, give me a scene in which we see him manipulating himself.
Mm.
Thoda bahut. At
But
least
don't you
not
think the whole film is sort of himself manipulating himself? Because
yes.
he didn't he cry once when he meets his friend, the the friend who dies in the beginning.
Yeah, once.
But that's like a very small, like it
Very small.
happens
That
five
yeah.
seconds on the screen, I
5
think.
seconds. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
And after that, he's just some hard, stone cold person in a way.
Not
Like stone
always
cold is
hard
a little
stone
too
cold.
much.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
not always. Because the one time
Yeah.
he allows himself to be vulnerable is with the nurse friend of his, Nancy, which is
Nancy, and
like when he
then
tried to commit suicide. When she calls him,
yeah.
he's not answering,
Yes.
but you can see him breaking. Thoda bahut.
Yes. Because that's when that realization happens.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. So
That was also a very good touch, honestly. That scene, the suicide scene, and the one there's also that the marriage ke beech mein that moving between two houses wala scene.
yeah,
I
yeah,
thought
yeah.
this is very nice touches
Among the
for
two, yeah, among
moments.
the two iterations of the daughters, the little one is so good. The
I
kid,
love it. Yeah, yeah,
the
I
kid
love
is
it
so good.
because she doesn't know anything about the world at that point, right?
Yeah.
She's everything is new to her.
Yeah, but her eyes again, it's
Hmm.
those eyes. Like she's acting completely through her eyes, and it's so
Hmm.
good. That little kid. I mean,
Hmm.
the woman, woman who is playing the teenage version or the young adult
She's an
version.
influencer. Highly
She's
abominable.
quite good. I have
Yeah,
to
yeah, I
admit,
thought she was
she's
quite
quite
good.
good.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's quite good. But that
One of
little
the
girl
better
is exceptional.
influencer actors
Yeah, yeah.
who've
The little
performed on
girl is
screen.
exceptional. That little
I
girl,
completely agree. I completely agree.
exceptional
I
actress.
am just curious how he directed that kid. It like sounds very interesting.
Hmm.
I want to also if you're finished, I also want to touch upon his collaboration with writers.
Yeah, of course. Huh.
So far he's worked with three sets of writers. One is
Hmm.
Juhi Chaturvedi with for Wiki Donor,
Gulabo
Gulabu
Sitabo.
Sitabo,
Hmm.
and October.
October.
Okay, I could be wrong, but no,
Chui
and Piku also.
Chaturvedi was October or
Yeah,
Piku.
yeah, yeah. Piku and October both.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Then
Okay.
Ritesh Shah has been a writer on Pink,
Hmm.
Sardar Udham, and this.
Okay.
And the odd ones out are the guys who wrote Shubhendu Bhattacharya and I'll tell you the other guy's name, Somnath Day, who wrote Madras Cafe.
Madras Cafe. Yeah.
And dialogues were by Juhi Chaturvedi for that film.
Hmm.
In all of these films, in general, I feel, and the observation also works for Shoojit Sircar as a filmmaker because now I'm also like, yeah, because he's gone to like one end of spectrum for drama ka tonality.
Hmm.
I think, I mean, he said it in an interview already, but to that's what I felt because I was like, इसके पास कहने के लिए और क्या बचा है?
Yeah.
That was the big question in my head because I was like, okay, October में perspective towards the
Hmm.
films from Varun Dhawan's character. यहाँ पे it is the person who's sick उसके character से. I mean, even in Piku, it's mostly through Piku and
Hmm.
Irfan, mostly through Piku, I would say. यहाँ पे it is the person who is sick उसके through,
Hmm.
right? I'm like तूने okay पलटा दी कहानी, but I was like तेरे पास कहने को और क्या बचा है?
Hmm.
And that worries me in general because I'm like, I really like him as a filmmaker because he develops that sort of seamlessness of drama and
But then again,
mm,
ठीक है. If I take that
mm,
idea into account, the three movies which you said are basically, uh, I think he told this in an interview that he told this in a very recent interview, which I think came out today. He kind of calls it a loosely dead trilogy. ठीक है कि Piku, October,
oh,
and this. Yeah,
okay.
loosely calls it as a somewhat of a dead trilogy. ठीक है.
Mm,
So वो dead trilogy में I get what he's doing कि ये बात हो रहा है. But look at the other movies.
mm,
Sardar Udham, what he's talking about. Sardar Udham, he's
mm,
talking about something entirely different, right? Sardar Udham, he's
mm.
talking about trauma, and basically a man trying
How
to
the
basically
trauma changed
exist.
him, no?
Yeah,
In a
how
way.
the trauma changed him and how he's trying to exist beyond that
Mm,
trauma
yeah, yeah.
in an Independence Day ka garb. ठीक है, basically.
Mm,
Madras Cafe is basically his closest thing that he had to a quote unquote documentary of a very real life incident, but told
But
in somewhat of a
fictionalized,
action movie fashion,
spy.
spy
Yeah.
action movie, espionage fashion. And then उसके बाद क्या है? Gulabo Sitabo. Gulabo Sitabo is basically a
I think,
whimsical
yeah,
Tom and Jerry like story,
yeah. Clash of two egos, वैसा
clash of
type
two
का.
egos within the ancient crumbling city. So basically it is between
Hmm.
old Lucknow and new Lucknow and old versus new ka egos.
Hmm.
So I think he will have something to say. I don't know whether a personal stories कितना कितना डालेगा directly towards this film. That's a debatable question. ठीक है कि
Hmm.
कितना
Hmm.
how much personal will he allow himself to be in any of his movies beyond say this. Even I want to
Hmm.
talk, I don't think is so personal beyond the father daughter relationship.
I thought it was way too personal. That's what I thought. मेरे को
Hmm.
personally इतना लगा. That is why I didn't know कि एक तो वो real life पे based है. तो मुझे लगा कि इसने जितना अपने से निचोड़ सकता था,
Hmm.
इसने निचोड़ा. So I
Hmm.
I I think until Sardar Udham only, the stories were so. I mean, they sort of dictated his storytelling
Hmm.
rather than those. I mean, there were like Sardar Udham has an incident which sort of dictates to that point,
Yeah,
and that
the
sort of point
kernel
is
of
the
the
film.
idea. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Huh.
But यहाँ पे तो I thought इतना loose था in terms of its telling,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
which I
Hmm.
was like, I liked I genuinely liked I think I loved the film also to an extent,
Hmm.
but it is so far off in terms of telling a story to. I'll use this word accessibility, but
Yeah.
it's not just that, is what I'm trying to say.
Hmm.
And it saddens me to a point because I want this film to reach out to more people.
See, I don't think we are ever going to see a, how do I say this? And I can't believe I'm using these three words together.
Hmm.
ठीक है? So any cinephile don't come and kill me. ठीक है? I
Hmm.
don't think we are ever going to see a Shoojit Sircar Moss movie. ठीक है? वो नहीं होने वाला. So I don't think we are ever going to see that
Hmm.
because I don't think he's even interested in that.
Hmm.
And I also don't think he's interested enough in studios giving him enough bajillion amounts of money to hire a
Hmm.
big star to do a mass
Hmm.
movie, masala movie, or whatever. So
Hmm.
he's a mid-budget or a more or less high-budget filmmaker with a very specific storytelling sensibility.
Hmm.
Filmmakers with specific storytelling sensibilities, they need their time, they need their ideas which strikes their
Hmm.
fancy, and they need their way to tell their stories.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
जो होगा वो है कि हम रेगुलरिटी से शुजित सरकार का मूवीज नहीं देखेंगे.
I think
दैट
it's
इज
going
नेवर
to.
गोइंग टू हैपन.
I think uska filमें next will happen like years later now.
Yeah,
I
years
don't
later.
think so. I'm going to see his next film anytime soon. Gulabo Sitapa and Sardar Udham was so back to back. Like I
Hmm.
think he was shooting them like one after the other, something like that.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
दोनों एक like they came एक साल
They
के
came
gap में
just right
and
after the other.
they
Yeah.
were I mean the shooting was happening in 2019 or
Hmm.
something like that because
Hmm.
yeah. But I was just no, because I also think it's more interesting to observe his writing collaboration with the more prominent one being Juhi Chaturvedi
Yeah.
and the kind of touches she has for characters.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought that was sort of also missing from this film was again you could criticism me. This is what I think from his daughter's character, like
The,
that female touch of an
the
idea
perspective. The perspective.
perspective.
Yeah.
Because Gulabo Sitabo में it's that matriarch who sort of wins
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end.
Hmm.
Um, I mean,
थोड़ा
Sardar Udham is.
टाइटनेस भी नहीं है फिल्म में, थोड़ा बहुत जो
Hmm.
मतलब पीकू में ना देयर वाज अ टाइटनेस. आई स्टिल थिंक मतलब आई हैवंट सीन अक्टूबर.
Pico तो is snappy. I think मैंने पहले भी
Very snappy, very
I
snappy.
think it
It,
is one of the best edited Indian films
oh
I've
yeah,
seen.
yeah. Like it's highly accessible, I get, but it's also like exceedingly snappy and it's also
Hmm.
very quick. मतलब
Yeah.
जो
Hmm.
it's snapshotty. It's snapshotty until it gets to the road section. Then it's smooth. It flows.
Yeah. But उसमें भी I think जब when you there is that episode in that no that चाकू वाला
Yes, yes, yes.
that is also very like मतलब चल रहा है फटाफट like
हाँ हाँ, full.
so I mean it does have that those elements. But I get what you're saying. It flows because I think it transitions from that, then that those Kolkata portion, and even what is that one stop that happens? Is it Banaras in the
No,
middle?
no, yeah, Banaras, yeah.
I think it flows
Yeah,
like it
जब वो
sort of
टेबल पे
calms
जब
down.
वो जब रान when Rana is telling him to sit atop it and sit it like that because
Yeah,
motion अच्छा सा होता है, yeah, then
uh,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
great film. I
Great
think I
film.
need to rewatch it now. Now that
For
I'm thinking.
people who haven't listened to it, there is an episode we did, me and
Yes,
Ahenjila along with Dhruv, dealing with Piku as well as the namesake. Yeah,
yes,
please check
very
that out.
very nice episode. Um, what else is there to discuss about this? What else did you think? Is there something we missed out?
I honestly, I think the sound design itself, again, if we compare it with recent releases, I think the fact that the sound is so sparse at some instances, right? Like
Hmm.
it is
Hmm.
playing in its own whimsy nature, but it is not overwhelming.
Hmm.
First of all, it's not overwhelming. It
I mean,
doesn't
I thought it was
overwhelm.
seamless. I never even noticed if it was
Yeah.
something specific.
Something
I
specific is
know
not.
there were two songs in the film, which one was through that montage it plays in the beginning,
Yeah. Hmm.
and the
But
second
even
one
then,
also happens at some point. I
but
forgot.
even then, the songs don't feel like it's interrupting the flow, right? The songs
Not
feel
at all.
like they're just integrated
Hmm.
within.
Hmm.
वैसे भी
Hmm.
एपिसोडिक
Hmm.
है, so it's like integrated within the
हाँ.
episode itself, तो ठीक है.
Hmm. There was one another interesting thing I was thinking about the film was shit. I forgot I was going to say. I just
Which
am
one?
blanking out. I was going to say something about the film only, something about the music. No, the one other film that I was thinking after I had watched the film was which we watched this year only, Perfect Days.
Right, Wim Wenders. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
again,
similar mood. Yeah,
you
similar
know,
mood. Somewhat similar mood. Yeah.
it's not as cyclical as Perfect Days,
Yeah, it's
but
not
it does
cyclical.
have that theme of going to hospital
Yeah.
at times and
Then again, वो perfect days का scene also भी है कि the overall landscape itself, if you remember correctly, the landscape itself
mm-hmm.
remains unchanged, right? So it's basically
Mm.
within Tokyo, within that specific spot, and it's like days
Her
flowing into
toilet.
days. Yeah.
Yes. No, I just remember
The
the idea of
tonality itself, yeah.
observing someone
Observing
on a
someone, yeah.
daily basis कि मतलब ये इसको पता है ये 4 दिन में जा रहा है वापस से
Hmm.
हॉस्पिटल में फिर ऑपरेशन के
Hmm.
वन मोर आई थॉट एट सम पॉइंट मेरे को लगा था आई थॉट दैट द कैरेक्टर इज गोना डाई was also because when he was doing those sort of vlogs when before his operation or something
Hmm.
I was like ये end में play करेगा
Ah,
it
right,
all
right,
is
right.
but it never happened so I was like
It
okay,
never
this is
happened.
very nice
Hmm.
touch because whatever I expected off of it, I mean, expectation will be while I was watching, like you, because you watch
Yeah.
so many films, तेरे को idea होता है कि यार
कुछ
this
ना
is what
कुछ
is.
कुछ ना कुछ तो होगा ही, मतलब
Hmm,
you can't completely
hmm,
shut your brain. थोड़ा बहुत
yeah.
you have to, but you can't completely
तो मुझे
shut your
लगता है
brain.
कि भाई यार sometimes now that we are watching the film, if I'm not even looking at the screen, let's say I'm going to get a water bottle, मुझे
Hmm.
पता है स्क्रीन पे क्या हो रहा है because मैंने
Hmm.
50 बार देखा है वो फिल्म मतलब
Hmm.
ऐसे टाइप का फिल्म फॉर
Hmm.
एग्जाम्पल
Hmm.
तो आई थॉट विद दिस ऑल्सो आई वाज लाइक कि ठीक है हाँ he's gonna die वो एंड में सब प्ले करेंगे एज अ व्लॉग whatever and probably his daughter is going to watch all
Hmm.
of them and react to it and that will be that expression of
सर इंटरस्टेलर
herself
नहीं है ये
I mean leave Interstellar मैं तो सोच रहा था सिनेमा पैराडीस हो यार
तो अच्छा उतना दूर नहीं जा रहा है सर
नहीं
बस.
that's what I was thinking but it never
Yeah.
never went only to anywhere near it
हाँ.
like I mean that vlog happens in the first quarter only right the first time
फर्स्ट
he's like
क्वार्टर, अराउंड फर्स्ट क्वार्टर,
yeah
हाँ, वो उतना देरी होता है, फिर
तो
फिर
मेरे को
उसके
लगा कि हाँ दिस इज गोइंग टू बी अ रिकरिंग थिंग नाउ
बाद
बिकॉज 100 days है movie मतलब मेरे को लगा 100 days जिंदा रहना ना बस
हिलेरियस ओनली कि इतना इनकंसिस्टेंट है मूवी इन हाउ इट यूजेस सम एलिमेंट्स एंड देन कंप्लीटली ड्रॉप्स इट, कि इट्स लाइक
या
एपिसोडिक स्ट्रक्चर में, मतलब प्लॉट एलिमेंट्स भी एपिसोडिक है, बेसिकली प्लॉट एलिमेंट्स भी
हम्म
एपिसोडिक के बेसिस में होता है.
हम्म
प्लॉट एलिमेंट्स भी एपिसोडिक बेसिस ही होता है, सो इट्स लाइक वेरी
राइट
वियर्ड इन दैट रिगार्ड. अगेन गुड मूवी, मतलब इट्स
आई
नॉट
थिंक
अ
इट्स अ
बैड
वेरी
मूवी एट ऑल,
वेरी
इट्स
गुड
अ वेरी
फिल्म
गुड मूवी.
आई थिंक आई हैव sort of exhausted all points that I wanted to speak
या
about the
सेम
film
सेम, मतलब कुछ ज्यादा नहीं है, बट
no but I
it's going
think
to
it's a
come out in OTT, and I think it's going to come out in OTT. I would suggest, I Suggest क्या? I will please request people to watch it. I just
Yeah,
wish it. I just wish it got some more love in the theater. But considering the audience का क्या mindset है आजकल, I'm not
there
even
was any
surprised.
barely any publicity here. Like that
हाँ
that
वही
was
वही
the reason I put up a story on my Instagram was like, yeah, at least
कोई
10
तो देख
people
के
who are
आओ.
my good friends will make an effort, I know, to watch
Hmm.
a film like that. Because there's also All We Imagine Is Light, which is in theaters at this point.
Hmm.
This episode is also coming out in the
Hmm.
next 1 week only at some point with
Hmm.
you, Dhruv, and Prakhar, I think, who's
I
going to
think
be.
yeah. Hmm.
But like All We Imagine As Light has a lot of backing from people who want to support this kind of cinema, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
I don't think so. People are in any way aware that I Want to Talk is coming.
Hmm. वही ना.
Like I
And I
don't think
want
so.
to talk
People
is
make
like
that effort also.
sandwich. I want to talk is sandwich between a lot of weird movies. Like वो हमारा
No.
साबरमती रिपोर्ट है. कुछ
Oh right,
क-
Kanguva, Sabarmati
कंगुवा
है.
है. कंगुवा है अभी भी. I have no idea.
It's
कंगुवा
there
है.
in theaters. It's there in theaters, but it has unfortunately bombed. I mean, I'm saying unfortunately
Unfortunately नहीं,
because I
fortunately
haven't
है.
seen the film. You've seen the film, so it's
बहुत
a different.
fortunate है, bombed है.
I mean,
वो
I'm like,
तमिल प्रोड्यूसर्स का मस्त मस्त पैतरा है, ठीक है. पहले
yeah.
वीक में सुनो कि यार रिव्यूज आ रहे हैं. फिर जो रिव्यूज जो सेक्शन लोग कह रहे हैं कि सबसे ज्यादा बुरी है वो कट कर दो. पहला 15 मिनट कंगुवा का कट कर दिया. हम लाइक उससे हेल्प नहीं होगा दोस्त. पूरी फुल मूवी कट करो. उससे हेल्प नहीं होगा.
Which is a great transition to the film that we are going to discuss, जिसके बारे में आप
यस.
बता रहे थे about the edit.
अबाउट द एडिट. यस. सो मेयर अगन.
Meiyazhagan. Yes, I hope we are pronouncing it
We are
right. Meiyazhagan.
pronouncing it right, hopefully. Thank
हाँ,
you. Yeah. C. Prem Kumar.
C. Prem
This
Kumar.
guy, this guy has made a
Hmm.
movie called 96, which I haven't seen. I know a
Even
lot
I
of
haven't
people are going
seen.
to kill me, but ठीक है.
96 came out, I remember, in 2018.
Yes.
And for some reason, like I had a very good friend. I mean, he's come on podcast also. This podcast started with him as well in the
Hmm.
beginning with Karthik. He
Hmm.
was going to watch that film and he was like, "Do you want to join?" And I was like, "Nahi, yaar, I don't know if I." I think Chekka Chivantavanam, the Mani Ratnam film, was also
Money
out
Ratnam.
around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I'll save money because I'm assuming that was the same period of time only because there was a chain of movies that I already planned for, which was Stree.
Hmm.
There was um, चिक्का चिवंतवानम, पटाखा, मन मर्जियाँ,
Hmm.
तुम्बाड़ also,
Hmm.
फर्स्ट मैन, what was that ब्रैडली कूपर वाला मूवी,
Star is Born.
टारिसमन, अंधाधुन इन द मिडिल.
Hmm.
बधाई हो. तो ऑलरेडी मेरा प्लान था कि मेरे इतना खर्चा होने वाला है.
Hmm.
दैट वाज वन ग्रेट पीरियड ऑफ
Hmm.
सिनेमा एक्सपीरियंस. तो
Hmm.
आई वाज लाइक आई डोंट नो इफ आई वांट टू वॉच दैट फिल्म एंड आई
Recently
मिस्ड आउट ऑन
rewatched
इट.
A Star is Born.
हाँ,
Uh,
हाँ.
स्टार इज बॉर्न का तुम वो सेकेंड हाफ में जो लेडी गागा सडनली पॉप स्टार बन जाती है, दैट इज स्टिल वेरी रश्ड, ठीक है.
हाँ.
बट इफ यू रिमूव बट इफ यू इग्नोर दैट सेक्शन, इग्नोर नहीं, लीव दैट सेक्शन आउट,
हम्म.
दैट माइट बी ब्रैडली कूपर्स बेस्ट डायरेक्शन एंड बेस्ट परफॉर्मेंस. ये
Just
माइस्ट्रो
two films.
वाइस्ट्रो हटाओ.
He's
ये
just made
माइस्ट्रो
two films, no, till now.
हाँ, ये माइस्ट्रो वाइस्ट्रो हटाओ जिंदगी से.
I thought it was a great.
His
I thought it was
performance
a
was
very well
his
directed
performance
film.
was very good. Yeah, direction was
Yeah.
very good, very
I
good.
mean, I did not. I mean, I don't know. I don't think so that I was in the mood to enjoy that film at that time.
Mhm.
So probably it's on me only. But I thought, like filmmaking wise, I thought it was directed very well. I thought it was performed very well.
Yeah, it was.
I
His
don't like
acting
the
was also very
story
good.
subjectively speaking. वो story नहीं पसंद because
सर
मैंने
वो
कहा
तो
यार.
सर वो तो 1954, 1975, 2018, बीच में 2015 में आशिकी 2 आ गया.
Yeah.
काफी सारे हैं.
दो बार
सो
आशिकी.
दो
अरे
बार
and
आशिकी
even
है.
that Rishikesh Mukherjee यार
हाँ.
movie with
अरे
Amitabh Bachchan and
अरे क्या
I'm
आराधना.
forgetting अभिमान.
अभिमान. सॉरी मेरा
हाँ.
दिमाग खराब हो गया.
Aradhana was
अभिमान.
the
हाँ. Aradhana was a Rajesh Khanna and
Rajesh
Sharmila
Khanna
Tagore
movie.
movie. Yeah,
Yes,
Abhiman
yes.
is the Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bachchan movie, which I have
Hmm.
seen. So I remember, yes, another
I
Star is
really like
Born.
that film.
Yeah, good movie.
But
Good
no,
movie.
but that story only I just detest it in general. But I
हाँ.
thought it was very well directed. No, I will not take it. I have not seen Maestro, I've told you. You've not liked it, I know. because you've spoken about it on podcast.
Yeah, multiple times. But no, but I think this movie, one of the bigger things about, मतलब मूवी का प्लॉट का ही बेसिक प्रॉब्लम है, स्टार इज बॉर्न
Hmm.
का प्लॉट का ही बेसिक प्रॉब्लम है, बट आई थिंक दिस
Hmm.
वर्जन इज वेरी वेल डायरेक्टेड,
Hmm.
and like Cooper himself acted very well in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Genuinely liked his performance. Anyway,
Hmm.
so good, small digression हो गया. Anyway, चलो.
No, back to Meiyazhagan, directed by
Meiyazhagan.
Prem Kumar. I'll read out the synopsis first for
Hmm.
people who have no idea about this film.
Hmm.
I'm sure people have some idea about this film. So Arun Mori Varman, a 40-year-old man, has to go for unavoidable reasons, revisit his hometown after 22 years of literally being abandoned from it. And when this journey ends, is where his life begins.
Hmm.
So
Suitably
the
vague. ठीक है, but
yeah, for good reasons, I would say.
for good reasons, yes. So,
What
where
do you
to
think
begin
about the
with
film?
this?
One thing that people should know is that the film takes place essentially over one night,
Over one night, yes. So, like the majority of the
and I
film
think
takes place over
96 is
a
also
night.
like this.
Yeah, majority of the film takes place over one single night. थोड़ा
Hmm.
build up होता है beforehand, but the majority of the film takes place over a single night, over quote unquote 2 or 3 locations at the max. But
Hmm.
hmm,
Yeah,
and mostly it is a two-hander. It is a two-hander between
Arvind
Arvind
Swamy.
Swamy and Karthi.
Both amazing performances I've seen this year.
Exceptionally good
I
performances.
think until now, I mean, I need to curate my best of the year list for myself.
Hmm.
But I think both these performances are literally in my top five for sure this year. I'm very
Yeah.
certain.
So Meiyaragan, like I like a good conversational drama as much as anybody. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
dialogue
Hmm.
drama. If the dialogues are good and if it works, I enjoy it. But if
Performances especially.
performances especially, but
Hmm.
again, it's also dependent on, मतलब मेरा मेलोड्रामा से बहुत चिड़चिड़ा है, ठीक है, चिड़चिड़ा हो जाता हूँ ज़्यादा मेलोड्रामा से, क्योंकि आई एम लाइक मुझे नहीं देखना, रोना धोना मुझे नहीं देखना. वैसे भी बहुत सीरियल्स वैसे भी बहुत सीरियल्स मेरी मम्मी देखती रहती है हमेशा, सो आई एम लाइक मुझे नहीं देखना. बट
Uh,
and considering where this movie starts and how this movie starts, it's like the movie starts with a kid forced to leave his hometown,
right.
and he's leaving his hometown after, and the closest thing he has to the personification of his hometown is a baby elephant, and he kisses and he hugs that elephant and leaves. And I am like, see, and also the fact is this scene is very emotional, but then you listen to the song, and the song is also very nice. The song is not like, song is quite melodious, and the song is very
Hmm.
nice.
Hmm.
What I'm getting at is, it's not saccharine, right?
Hmm.
It's not
It's
like,
not.
it's not
It
saccharine.
genuinely makes you feel
Yeah.
for what because I think that it's like props to Govind Vasanta, the music director. I'm sure
Yes.
I think he did music background score as well. He the score essentially and the songs also later are more internalized idea of what that person is feeling.
Exactly. Because even the lyrics are exactly that. The lyrics are
Hmm.
basically like honing in on what the character is feeling at that specific moment. Like,
Right, 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 right,
yeah,
right.
the feeling of sorrow, of loss, of going
Hmm.
away.
Hmm.
And again, because so when this movie begins, I'm like, I was already kind of surprised कि हो क्या रहा है, and it's like,
Hmm.
so with some movies, mostly Malayalam movies,
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm very surprised कि how these movies choose, these movies feel very Iranian in its respect, in that it
Hmm.
chooses mundane topics and creates an entire movie around it.
Around them, right, right. वो plot
Like,
उसके आसपास होता है, right.
हाँ, प्लॉट उसका आसपास होता है. So Malayalam
Hmm.
movies do that very well.
Hmm.
This Tamil movie feels very Malayalam in its nature, because it is like very much like takes a very mundane topic
Hmm.
and constructs an entire story around it.
I would say this is one of the films जिसको देख के मैं बोल सकता हूँ इसकी sensibility so close to Kamal Hassan's sensibility.
Yes,
Um,
I understand
I,
exactly what you
I've
mean.
I've seen the film called Anbe Shivam, which is a Really
Yes,
good
yes,
film.
yes, 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 yes. I have
It's
seen
not
that movie.
directed by him. It's
I have seen that movie. Yes.
I think it's Sundar C who directed it. Or
Maybe,
I
maybe.
could be
I
wrong
think you're.
about the
I
director.
think you're
It's
right.
written by Kamal Hassan
Mm,
because,
I,
but directors in his films were just for namesake. Everyone
uh,
knows that. I mean,
uh,
um, because the emotional aspect. I mean, there was one interview like this is like I watched this interview like way back, about how Kamal Hassan perceives about telling a story that you need to make it extremely emotional to reach out to more people. So when
yeah.
Drishyam was remade in Tamil with Kamal Hassan as the lead,
Mm-hmm.
he force-fed that particular sensibility to the director, Jitu Joseph, ki you need to make it more emotional if you want to reach out to Tamil audiences,
Mm-hmm.
because they will literally lap up to his emotional instinct rather than the logical idea of how Mohanlal played the character.
Right, right, right. Mm.
His emotion sells more over this
Or
calculated
the more over
persona,
the cerebral. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
right? And wahi defining quality is what I feel is defining to Tamil cinema also in general.
Mm.
I've spoken about this to you also before that I think it's the best cinema that happens in our country's Tamil cinema because it is best of both sensibilities.
100%, yeah. Well, balancing act, I think
Hmm.
I think Tamil cinema can pull off very well.
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
Malayalam cinema, for a lot of reasons, mainly budget, they can't
Hmm.
execute high-end masala movies,
No,
but
they
they
can't.
execute this mid-budget, extremely emotional, extremely higher concept movies very well.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah, specific and Telugu movies, because of its high budget and because of the sensibility of the audience,
Sensibility. Ah.
executes these masala and mass movies much better.
Hmm.
I think
Right.
Tamil movies when they're doing good,
Yeah.
let me be very clear, when they're doing good,
Hmm.
they execute this balancing acts really well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another great Tamil film which I am digressing again, but you know about this movie Varai also, right? By
Yes.
Mari Selvaraj. I
Mari
think
Selvaras,
is
yes.
another fantastic film from this year, both Tamil films. I need to watch Kottugali also, which came out,
Hmm.
which I've heard, and you need to also watch Amaran, which
Yeah, I need to
I'm
watch
sure you'll
Amaran.
you'll have some sort of liking towards that film as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Amaran is
but
out here. It came out
still in
this.
cinema?
It came out here. Uh,
Oh,
कल आ रहा है कल it came out suddenly in जलपाईगुड़ी. I'm like nice. ठीक है.
then I think it's gonna come on Netflix a little later only. I think they'll
हम्म.
extend the theatrical window.
थोड़ा तो
So
करेंगे I think, yeah.
I think by a week to कर देंगे because I think Lucky Bhaskar is already out, which is also
Lucky
another.
Bhaskar is out, which I have to see. I
Hmm.
haven't seen.
But back to Meiyazhagan, which we were talking about the sensibility, and you were talking about
Hmm.
Iranian idea of telling a story, Iranian cinema type.
Yeah. So after this, like, even in how the movie is like using
Hmm.
luxuriating the camera somewhat,
Hmm.
it's very focused on stillness, right? Even in movement, like, if you if you look at how the movie shows parrots flying,
Right, right.
in Arvind Swamy's character's terrace,
House. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
terrace in a school of parrots, right? And it's like,
Hmm.
first of all, that shot is amazing. It's a
Yeah, it's such
fantastic
a
shot.
beautiful shot. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's a fantastic shot, and second of all, it shows you the stillness
Hmm.
of the character overall.
Hmm.
Yeah, without highlighting too much upon it.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then slowly and steadily we come to know what he's going to do, the fact that he's going,
Right.
and it's like you point out in many of our podcasts, ki, the character defines the plot. It's like her
Hmm.
character ka motivation is defining the
Hmm.
plot.
Yeah.
The character doesn't want to go, but he has to go
Right.
because of his connection to his cousin sister. That
Hmm.
drives the plot. Wo connection was defined previously in the flashback itself, so we also
Hmm.
know ki what is driving the plot.
Right. I
Now when
think
he
setup
yeah,
में तो सब बहुत अच्छे
setup
से
में
it was
बहुत
a
clearly,
great setup.
it's
Yeah.
clearly set up, right? And it's very
Hmm.
clear. The clarity of the
Hmm.
setup is very clear, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
None of it feels half baked. None of it feels far
No.
fetched.
Yeah. 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 No, beyond the setup also, I thought the progression of the story,
Hmm.
it never force feeds you any idea.
No.
It is what needs to happen at that point is happening. Again,
Like वो बस में जो conversation हो रहा है with
hmm,
him and the bus conductor,
right.
that entire sequence in any other movie would have been cut out. I'm not even kidding. In
Yeah,
any other movie would have been cut out.
right, right.
ठीक है? But that conversation serves two purposes. Again, intent is
Hmm,
very important. First
right.
purpose is
Hmm,
it shows you it's also going off the entire thesis key. Townspeople have shorter memories. Townspeople have shorter memories because they know each other more and more, and
hmm,
that is why they are far more forgiving, which I kind of don't agree, because I have been living in my town for over the past 5 years and I currently don't have good feelings about my town. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Jo bhi ho.
uh,
But the second option is, it also highlights his animosity towards the town and towards his own family, the
hmm,
animus which the movie will try through its 3 hour, near to 3 hour runtime, to break that animus
right,
which he
right,
has against the
right,
town, due
right.
to members of his family having forced him out of his own inheritance, quote unquote. So the again, intent is essential. Intent is working towards the character itself, right? Character
Right,
का जो intent हो रहा है उसके हिसाब से plot progress कर रहा
right, right, right. I mean, the idea that he's trying to run away,
है. Yes.
um, wo, it's not like he's, I mean, it is a conscious effort, but I mean, he has to do that. That is why he's doing it, wala aspect. And it's not like that's why I generally, I mean, I mentioned it already about about force feeding, about any
Hmm.
plot point that sort of happens or takes place,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
मतलब उसको बियर पीना है, उसको नहाना है,
Basically, हाँ.
basically. And the other thing, which again, which also sort of connects the idea which we just discussed, and I want to talk as well, was I liked how these fleeting moments with characters just come and go.
Yes.
Like like you mentioned the bus conductor,
Hmm.
he's a prominent actor. Like he's been there in a lot of, like he's there in Jigar Tanda and so
He's
many
there in a lot of
movies.
movies. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
You always have that idea that this guy is probably gonna come somewhere later in the film. Like वो नहीं होता
हाँ,
यार, चेकॉव्स गन यार, तेरे को लगता है वो बाद
हाँ,
में अपने आप पे ऑफ
हाँ,
करेगा कहीं पे ऐसा,
हाँ, हाँ,
whatever the connection,
हाँ.
but it
But
doesn't.
there is that if I think the term is ephemeral nature of life itself. कि
Hmm.
fleeting moments which will remain fleeting. So
Hmm.
I want to talk में ये बहुत है, but I want to talk का is by design.
Hmm.
यहाँ पर it
Hmm.
doesn't feel like it's by design. यहाँ पर it
No.
feels like intent itself is that. कि
Yeah.
कैरेक्टर का लाइफ वैसा है, बट वी आर
Hmm.
मूविंग फॉरवर्ड इन सच अ फैशन कि कैरेक्टर का लाइफ में वी आर सीइंग हिम इंटरैक्ट, बट दैट इज
Hmm.
affecting his perspective, then we are seeing him move forward.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
It's not episodic. The narrative is
No.
flowing on its own.
Right. Right. Right.
It's
No. That
mostly unbroken.
again,
Yeah.
that moment that I also mentioned before we started recording, where he goes to that marriage, he meets like his relative who is supposed to, like
Yeah,
who
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah.
married, is not in a good marriage at that point,
Hmm.
but she has that sort of vulnerability to share what is happening with her,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a sad part about her life.
Hmm.
She's vulnerable about it, she speaks about it to him, and I think towards the end of that sequence when they're having, I
When they're
mean,
having food, there
dinner,
is one
food,
fleeting sequence of him looking back. Yeah, which
she gives a look at him,
she
like they're
gives a
sitting
look at him. Yeah,
backs to each other diagonally.
and it's a fleeting sequence
Yeah,
which doesn't come back at all in the
at
next in
all. It
at
doesn't
all. It doesn't
matter
come. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
that. Huh,
it
sorry, go ahead.
matters. It matters because I think, again, if we are comparing it to I want to
Yeah.
talk is very solipsistic overall throughout the movie, because the movie is entirely
What does
focused
that
on
word
Abhishek.
mean? Please explain it.
Solipsism means extremely focused. It's like so focused.
Huh.
It's like when you see a horse, right? Say
Hmm.
you are seeing a horse. A horse will have blinders on, right? Like
Right, right, right,
blinders
right.
on to train the horse where to look and where to look forward, so that it
Huh,
doesn't look
huh,
sideways. That is called
huh,
blinders on.
huh.
So what does that mean? That means it's razor focused, it's
Hmm,
sharpened, it's only focusing
hmm,
towards there. Tunnel vision, basically. That is essentially what solipsism is.
hmm, hmm,
Solipsism is basically a character or a story that is focused on a very singular character. It's almost quote
hmm,
unquote towards narcissism. It's tending towards narcissism in a way.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
So you are thinking, I want to talk is very hyper focused on Abhishek Bachchan's character.
Right.
until towards the end when it shifts to the daughter's character.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
movie through Arun Mori's character is as much about him as it is about his feeling towards the town. The
Right.
the town matters a lot to him.
Hmm.
And the
Right. What
town's
definition of his persona or that
yes, because
he
the
feels?
town basically built him. The town basically molded him. And
Right.
that is why
Right.
his connection with the town, having been severed for over 22 years,
Hmm.
hurts him so much.
Hmm. 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 Hmm.
So,
No, I think the conceit itself is interesting. That his idea of his definition of um, even I think the nostalgic moments that happen for him. Ek to he's closed down as a character. He doesn't express
very much, yeah, yeah.
until like very late in the film, like almost
Hmm.
touching around like almost 2 hours in the film or something like that.
Hmm.
तब तक उसके memories were never vividly expressive.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, I mean, we'll tap into the biggest theme of it being nostalgia about like
A lot of
you know,
things, yeah, yeah.
not a lot of things. But even those moments have a lot of detail in them.
Yes, exactly. It's very specific.
It's very specific, huh?
there is a very specificity to the
Yeah,
nostalgia of it all.
yeah. Are even there's a sequence which happens through Karti's. I mean, again, I'm jumping like 5 steps ahead and talking about it.
Hmm.
Where he's discussing about the Jallikattu part. You see banners of Aircel because 2012 में वो exist करता था.
2012 में exist करता था, yeah.
And I thought this is so interestingly placed as an idea, and throughout the whole backstories that they're ever talking, ever discussing, वो those small details are ever like holding of hands when kids and all that, वो छोटी छोटी चीजें
Hmm.
I thought were genuinely, I mean, beyond interesting, because I was like, that's a great storytelling idea of how these characters remember things, like
Yes, yes.
because they don't have
What
many
are your
distractions
markers?
either.
What are your markers of
Hmm.
memory,
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah.
So, and then the again, because it is about memory, it is also about the comedy of manners in a way.
Hmm.
Because the entire point of the movie is that he meets a person whose name he forgets, and
Yeah.
because he's because he's a person of good manners, he's
Hmm.
embarrassed to ask a guy about his name.
Yeah.
And that's the one conceit of the film which is quote unquote very much like a film.
Hmm.
Okay, that is the one time. That is the one conceit of the film which feels very much like
Right.
a film.
Right.
Because, and I joked this in my Instagram
I
status.
know.
He, this
True
entire
caller.
conceit would be solved by Truecaller.
Right. Right. Right.
To which somebody explained to me कि uska phone is like a keypad
Uh,
phone, so it might not
Nokia
appear
wala
on Truecaller.
dual
So it
SIM.
might not appear on Truecaller.
Right. Right.
And
I because
yeah,
that statement that you put out मेरे को
yeah,
दिमाग में था.
uh,
And I didn't know anything about the film again.
uh,
तो मेरे को दिमाग में लगता था यार ये एस्पेक्ट किधर फिट हो रहा है. And that's when the film started taking me, अच्छा okay, this is what he was trying to say.
uh,
But even in this again happens in like one of those nostalgia trips where he's vividly
yeah,
explaining one of his ideas. He won that phone in
yeah,
that
yeah.
Jallikattu competition, like dual
Jallikattu
SIM
competition,
Nokia phone,
dual SIM Nokia phone, yeah.
and he's using that particular phone. And I was like, oh, so I mean, it's not like it's null and void your explanation. I mean, it could still
Hmm.
exist because
No, no, of course it could still exist. I'm just saying,
yeah,
hypothetically, this is a situation that could have been solved nowadays. But again, it also highlights again what Prem Kumar is trying to say is very much an ideology or a thought process that
hmm,
someone like me might not even agree with.
hmm,
I'll explain to it much later on. Okay? When we finally go deeper into the movie, I'll explain what I mean by that. But
hmm,
when he meets Karthi's character,
hmm,
Karthi's character basically specifies the good nature of the town itself.
hmm.
Very gregarious, very open.
Personification ही है वो तो पूरा पूरा.
Personification है पूरा.
Hmm, hmm,
The good aspects of the town which Arun Mori does not want to remember. because he only remembers what happened to be forced out of the town. As the night passes by, he remembers the good aspects of the town, and Meiyargan is basically the personification of that.
Hmm.
So how it works is कि each and every time we see him going through all of this stuff, we see
Hmm.
him trying to understand his name but faltering every time. And every time one situation or the other occurs in which he
Right.
has to hang out
He
with this
fails
guy
to.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
in some of the cases it is mostly Meiyargan's fault. Like वो चाय पीने का कुछ जरूरत नहीं था, बस में ही जा सकता था. But again, it's like
Yeah.
destiny मैटर करता है, so क्या ही कर सकते
Hmm.
हैं इसके बारे
मतलब his intent again was never
में. Yeah, his
to,
intent was never. Yeah. हाँ.
like, bad intention ही था उसको उसको वो चाहता था
Hmm.
कि वो रुके,
Yeah,
अटेंड
exactly.
करे,
हाँ.
वेडिंग अटेंड करे,
And
फलाना
again,
फलाना,
the
बट
comedy which arises from this is very circumstantial. Like जो hotels है, the hotel sequence, like he stops at the car at the middle of the street.
लॉज.
Yeah, lodge at the middle of the camera work is very fascinating. Huh? He
Yeah.
goes for a mostly static cam shot. No cam shot. He goes to follow Arvind Swamy ka
Nothing.
character when he
It
goes.
doesn't even pan, I think. No, does
No,
it?
it does nothing. No, no,
Right?
no.
So wide.
Yeah, yeah, mostly wide. Yeah, and it's like वो म्यूजिक भी उतना लाउड नहीं है कि वो कॉमिक म्यूजिक भी लाउड नहीं है. But slowly and steadily, then we see his character going to their house, slowly
Hmm.
becoming. And it's fascinating, right? Ki we see Arun Mori's character. He has Periyarka picture with so many of these big
Right.
big guys. Yeah,
Right.
all
Right.
this
Right.
stuff. The movie ultimately starts to become about nostalgia, right? But
Hmm. Hmm.
it is it is about nostalgia in a very specific way. It is about
Hmm.
nostalgia in a way which is like trying to comment against the very fast nature of the world itself, which is not letting people take a moment
Hmm.
and breathe.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what it ultimately is. The hyper specificity of it all, which can be a bit of a disagreement for a lot of people, is that it is highlighting a lot about Tamilians not
Hmm.
learning about Tamil culture. That is the specificity.
Hmm.
Tamilians
I
not knowing
mean,
about their
the
history.
whole credits were in Tamil language. There's no English translation and Tamil. It was
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
in Tamil.
It was completely in Tamil, yeah.
Yeah.
So like Tamilians not learning about their language or their history. Like Karthi's
Hmm.
character literally says that we know about Battle of Plassey,
Hmm.
we know about this stuff, but we don't know about the battle of the Chola Kingdom ka battle which happened in that near
Okay.
that
I
temple
mean,
or everything.
I'm unaware about that detail in particular. But I mean, I understood what the dialogue, but
Yeah, yeah,
मुझे
the dialogue
detail
and
कितना
everything.
है नहीं पता.
Even I'm not aware of the detail. But again, I'm pretty sure the Jallikattu ka sequence and all of that stuff.
Hmm.
Again, it's very
And
hyper
that was
specific.
what 2016, 17 when they were like Jallikattu ban and all that, right? So
Jallikattu ban and
it's
everything. Yeah,
quite obvious it's
yeah,
towards
yeah.
that because this is happening in 2018, which is
Mhm.
not very far off from when the actually debate that happened
Yeah,
for
exactly.
banning, and
Mm.
he's telling incidents from 2012, I think, something like that, 6 years
Yes,
back.
yes. Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah. So again, it is very much about nostalgia, right? And
Hmm. Hmm.
it's about nostalgia and it is about memory. And it is
Hmm.
about parsing parsing the lessons you can from the past and trying to inculcate those lessons within the present to infuse a sense of balance.
Hmm.
That's what it ultimately is. The movie itself is ultimately about that balance also, right? Which is why I thought very much about Frank Capra in a way, because Capra's filmmaking is
Hmm.
also like,
Elaborate properly on that, no? Which like.
yeah, Capra's filmmaking, basically the Frank Capra section really works for me because okay, so Frank Capra's most famous movie is It's a Wonderful Life. If you know anything
Hmm.
about It's a Wonderful Life, like
40s. Hmm.
even if you haven't seen the movie, you know the basic conceit about It's a Wonderful Life. Ki
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life mein George Bailey is a guy who used to help everybody, who has been helpful to everybody. Okay, to the extent
Hmm.
that he sacrifices of somewhat of a bright future in an effort to ensure कि उसके डैड का बैंक का लाइफ सब कुछ आगे निकल जाए.
Hmm.
And so all of that moves on, but towards the end, when the movie finally shows his honesty still not winning against capitalism and everything,
Hmm.
he in his anger wishes, I think he in his anger wishes that he should have never been born.
Hmm.
Then an angel decides, then an
Well, it's
angel, yeah,
fantastical.
yeah, it's fantastical, but but the fantastical section only occurs in the end.
Okay.
The angel decides, okay, let me show you what will happen if you did not survive. What is
Hmm.
the butterfly effect
Hmm.
if you did not exist? What
Hmm.
would have
Hmm.
happened if you did not exist?
Hmm.
Then the movie goes through a 10-minute roundup in the entire town where we see what would have happened if George Bailey did not exist. And key figures in his life,
Hmm.
their lives would be changed in irreplaceable ways.
Hmm. Okay.
Which should remind you in Meiyazhagan, the movie, in
Hmm.
Arul Modi's character not present within the town did not affect. He thought that him being away from the town means he's cut off from the town, but the town wasn't cut off from him because
Hmm.
he would leave a cycle. The cycle would affect Meiyazhagan's character,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Right. Right. Right.
Butterfly effect will move on.
That was a very good stretch of storytelling, honestly.
Yeah,
Well, because it's not even just like वो होता है ना कि मतलब he did something right
yeah,
unknowingly,
yeah.
and it sort of is paying off later. And
That's a butterfly effect, right? That is the butterfly
mm,
effect.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. No, but I just thought like वो character का goodness, like only one summer 1994 के summer में he held his hand, took them for like these, like made
Yeah.
them have like a very good summer, took them to market, cinema, and everything.
Hmm.
And it affected everyone's lives, not just Miragan, but also his cousin,
His
whose
cousin
marriage
sister,
attends.
Mo's marriage. By the way, that sequence in which he basically gifts her that entire sequence, there is a extended 20 minutes ka sequence. Like I don't know if it
Oh,
is in that Netflix movie.
it's, I mean, the making her wear all the ornaments.
Yeah. That is there, right? That is fully
Uh,
there, right?
it's
Haha.
completely there.
Yeah. That sequence also such a lovely sequence.
Yeah, great. I mean, that's what I'm telling you. Film had so many great stretches in general. Like this is just two of the ones that we've discussed. But I think even towards the end also, I thought the last stretch was just amazing. And I think it's 25 minutes in its on its own, or 26 minutes on its own. The last stretch completely.
Yeah,
Um,
because towards the end also it's like you know he becomes scared. He becomes scared now. Miargan's character, who is such a good person,
hmm,
who is
hmm,
letting him stay, and he's now ashamed and guilty because he doesn't know his name even now.
yeah,
So he runs
gave
away,
him the wrong number also, and
gave him the wrong number also and everything. And
hmm,
even then, even after everything that happened, even after all that guilt trip and everything, when he calls Miargan again with the right number,
hmm.
Miargan still picks up, and Miargan is like,
He thinks
he's
it was his mistake that,
yeah, it was his
yeah.
mistake. Yeah. So again, it's like it's that innocence in a way, and again, the balancing act now comes from the perspective of an actor, and I think
Hmm.
Karthi's performance, if he goes slightly overboard, that character is going to become an annoying pest. If he goes slightly overboard,
Right. It was just the right amount.
it's
Hmm.
just the right amount. If he goes even 2% overboard, it becomes annoying.
Hmm. Hmm. Right. I agree.
Even if he's innocent, he's not foolish, right? He's not
Hmm.
naive.
No.
There is an innocence within him, but he's not naive. He has seen the hardship of the world, even though he's not
Hmm.
like city smart or street smart.
Hmm.
He knows within the contours of his life how to survive.
Right. Right. I mean, he managed to go from a particular strata of society to actually buying a house for himself,
Yeah.
running a business, and someone who can afford to lend money to अपना Arun
Hmm.
Mori
Arul Mori, yeah.
for like his financial endeavor.
Yeah.
But so I mean that way, if you look at it, his trajectory is amazing. Like that way, he's
Yeah.
coasted through so many things through his life. Like उसके
Yeah.
experiences
Hmm.
beyond the ones that he spoke about, उसके और कितने experiences होंगे?
Yeah, exactly.
And you get only hints. Like
You get
you don't
hints.
even know how he met his wife at that
His
point.
wife, yeah, yeah.
You see that picture which is on the wall with the cadets, which is 2005. That's another like detail which you're like, oh, what was happening with him at that point in time.
Hmm.
I mean, it just opens up possibilities for that character,
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
and your imagination can go beyond what the film fed you directly.
Exactly. And your imagination is working because film में जो development हुआ है character का, that is so well done कि you are
Hmm.
compelled to know more
Right,
about both of
right,
these guys.
right. I mean, um, I was curious about why the thing about feeding birds
Hmm.
in the
Hmm. Hmm.
beginning for Arul
Hmm.
Mori's
Hmm.
character. I was like, what is so interesting about it? But it sort of makes sense in the larger narrative when you know he was with an elephant in the temple. Again, वो भी एक fleeting moment था.
वो भी fleeting,
The
हाँ.
elephant just passes from behind the character.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
never goes
exactly.
back
He never
goes
goes
back to the
back. He never
temple.
goes to meet. He never goes to
Yeah,
meet. Yeah, yeah, whatever.
he
Doesn't
doesn't
matter.
even
But
meet that mama that who he was close to, who's genuinely always emotional in his approach.
yeah, yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yeah.
the actor is Raj Kiran, who was there, the central character in Dhanush's first directorial, Power
Uh,
Pandi.
hmm.
You've seen it?
No, no, no,
I
no.
was going to say that you should check it out. I think he's liked him in that film.
Hmm.
Another like very light-hearted film in its approach. But coming back to this, I thought like that idea which is consistent throughout again, and these fleeting moments and what he's doing with these characters, it's also sort of like this back and forth between these people,
Hmm.
um and these elements like, and मेरे को ना for some reason I was like यार कुछ तो गलत होने वाला है.
Yeah.
I always kept thinking that something is going to go wrong and he's probably never going to get to know his name.
Hmm.
um so he's in that, he goes back to his backyard in
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
garden, right, near the bull, when he's sad that when he gets to know that this guy doesn't know his name. But that also he sort of counters by saying that I like didn't
Yeah,
let
yeah.
you get into that bus, and he's like now we are fair and square. Like वो बंदे की अच्छाई कितनी है.
Hmm.
But beyond that
Exactly.
also I was like something is going to go wrong. There's a snake that is like
Yeah.
slithering around somewhere. I was like something is going to go wrong for him.
Hmm.
And वो भी एक element बन जाता है when you're walking through that and he just like waves at the
Yeah.
snake.
But it's also like, I also think the entire point of the movie is a series of epiphanies.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
essentially a series of epiphanies for Arul Mori's character, right? That's what it is.
Hmm.
And again, if you think about this, Miargan's character essentially acts as a vehicle to induce epiphanies for Arul Mori's character. ठीक है?
Right. Right.
So you know what the intent of the character is. But
Hmm.
if the character hadn't been written well and if the character hadn't been performed well, there
Hmm.
wouldn't have been any compelling characterizations of that character
True.
to root
Hmm.
for, like to
Hmm.
give him a distinct personality. In a
Hmm.
lesser movie, this character would have just given him those epiphanies. Like plot सेम ही था, शायद वो नॉस्टैल्जिया का स्टोरी बता रहा था, ठीक
वो
है.
कुछ बाउंस बैक करने को नहीं मिलता ना
वो
उसको
कुछ
अपने
बाउंस बैक करने
थॉट्स.
को नहीं मिलता.
हम्म.
Exactly. So it's like
हम्म.
those write ups and everything, how the character is written works
हम्म.
wonders in this regard. क्योंकि मियारगन का character itself is a very separate character.
राइट
It's a
राइट.
flesh and blood character of its own. It has a
या
history
या
of
या
its own.
राइट राइट. मतलब वो बियॉन्ड रिफ्लेक्शन ऑल्सो आई थिंक his intent towards shaping that person was very active unknowingly.
Exactly. Yeah. Hmm.
Like towards the end of that night only he says कि you should like
Hmm.
let go of that your animosity
Your
towards
anger,
those poor
your
people.
animus, yeah, your anger and animus
Just let it
towards.
go.
Just
And
let it go.
that's
Yeah.
it's a small movement matlab, and it's not as like people have put it. I mean on stories I saw that essentially उसकी therapy हो गई उस character की.
Hmm.
But I don't think so. Therapy would be as emotionally effective or actively nudging you towards a decision
Hmm.
as it was in this film. I mean,
Yeah, therapy wouldn't be this direct, or therapy wouldn't be this
right,
effective immediately. Therapy would
right,
have
right,
been,
right.
yeah, therapy would have
This
taken
is
some time.
फ्रेंडलियर, दिस इज वार्मर इन इट्स अप्रोच. वो
Hmm.
नज कर रहे हैं उसको एक डायरेक्शन में कि भाई लेट इट गो,
Hmm.
एंड ही लेट्स इट गो आल्सो,
Hmm.
बिकॉज उसको भी रियलाइज हो गया इन दैट वेरी स्प्लिट सेकेंड.
Hmm.
इवन दो द बैकग्राउंड स्कोर इज इंडिकेटिंग टुवर्ड्स समथिंग एल्स, वो स्प्लिट सेकेंड उसको रियलाइज हो गया यार, देयर इज नो
Hmm.
पॉइंट. मतलब
Hmm.
वो एनिमोसिटी पाल के फर्क नहीं पड़ता. ही इज नेवर, मतलब लाइक फ्लीटिंग मोमेंट्स की बात करते, वो घर गया. ही
Hmm.
इज लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू बाइंग द हाउस वेर इज स्टेइंग इन चेन्नई,
Exactly. Yeah.
राइट. वो ही इज मूव्ड ऑन. तो
Hmm.
वो स्प्लिट सेकंड में उसको डिसीजन बन गया, लाइक ही जस्ट नीडेड दैट नज टुवर्ड्स द राइट डायरेक्शन, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स व्हाट इज हैपनिंग
Hmm.
with all the right intention also, like, you know,
Yeah. 100%.
very nice film, just like that.
Yeah. Very. Yeah. Quite a nice film. Again, I don't think. I don't think he. Matlab, did this movie need to be a slight tighter? Maybe it needed to be, but then again,
Hmm.
it's like Netflix ka version you have seen. I had seen the
The 3 hour, almost 3 hour version.
almost 3 hour version, so I don't know if the Netflix version would actually work for me
The
because it
cut
has
that is
some
titled Potato Cut.
it's potato cut. Yeah, for a very
Hmm.
specific reason. Yeah, but
Hmm.
again, it's like I don't know if the Netflix version would actually be paced better or not. Okay, but considering the cut I just watched,
Hmm.
I cannot say that the movie is not good because the movie is exceptionally good.
Right, right, right.
There
No,
is there is no reason this
hmm.
movie should
Hmm.
run 3 hours, but there is also no reason that this movie
Should it?
should be this compelling, but it
Hmm.
is.
It is right. No, I thought like the version that I watched, the 2 hour 38-minute version, I think it's quite well paced in general.
Hmm.
Like I took like one break in the middle. That's
Hmm.
because of things that were
Hmm.
around me, not because I was bored of the film. But I did not like. I think when it picks up those stretches of narratives that are happening, not once do you feel that you want to get out of that emotion, because I
Hmm.
was actively laughing with moments. I was actively crying that, like,
Hmm.
when I mean towards the end only, that stretch is so,
Hmm. Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
so good, because I mean I'm recording, we're recording this episode almost just 20 minutes after I finished watching the film.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So I mean I didn't even have time to like actually soak in a lot of the film, but वो last stretch only was so good that I sat through the credits also completely, like, sobbing about the film, because I was like, so nice. I
Hmm.
mean, happy tears. I was not like sad about many things, but it is emotionally nudging you to feel something
Hmm.
warm, like you're reacting and interacting with those characters. And I thought that was a great touch, um, informally, like, giving you that sort of feeling, um, of that warm hug and everything.
Yeah. So
Hmm. Continue.
no. So yeah, that's it. I don't think there's much more to say about this. To be
Yeah,
very honest, I think.
I'm sure. I think we'll discuss. At least I know I'm going to discuss Meiyazhagan in our best of the year list for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I think I need to sit more with the film in terms of I haven't thought much about it, but let's see. I think it should hold up as much as I'm thinking at this point. Year-end list pe, I hope Adityan's also there,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. Hmm.
and Devi.
Adityan
So
was there in the half year ka list,
right,
half
that's what
year
I'm
cover.
assuming.
Yeah.
They'll also be there
Hmm.
for discussion, and I know he liked the film as well.
Hmm.
तो रहेगा बात करने को यार. So he'll bring in
Exactly.
more things that we don't know about it as of
Yeah, yeah,
now.
exactly. Because the
Or
specificity
a million
matters, na?
details
Yeah.
that we are unversed about.
Hmm.
I think it'll be interesting to discover more about the film
Yeah,
in
exactly.
general. But lovely, lovely film. Because luckily it was on Netflix. The opening page, my aunt, who doesn't even watch films, she's like, "What? What is this film?"
Hmm.
Is it a good film because it's coming on Netflix? It's on number one, two, three, whatever.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I've heard it's a good film. Like this is like almost 20 days back. I've heard it's a good film. I think you should try. And I think it's available
Hmm.
in Hindi also, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think people who are like, who have problem like that language barriers, I think you can watch the dub version. I think it's
Hmm.
extremely good.
Yeah,
Extremely,
barring
extremely good.
barring a couple of cultural specific situations which my Tamil audiences might relate to a lot more, I
Yeah,
think the overall feeling is very universal. The
absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
I think even Varai will be another film that we'll discuss. That's
Yeah.
something, and I think you should watch it as well. That
Mm.
we'll have a lot. I mean, by that time there will also be Viduthalai Part 2.
Part two. Yeah.
I think there's going to be loads of Tamil movies that are
Loads
going
of
to be
Tamil movies. Yeah.
released. Yeah,
Tamil movie had a bit of a slump in the mid this year, but
earlier
now
year,
it.
no,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
there were no releases, no, because of elections and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
I mean, Indian.
थोड़ा स्लम्प पेन में ही था. गोट आया हमारा. विजय सार का गोट आ गया जो देख के मेरा दिमाग का दही चढ़ गया. सो आई लाइक ओके.
Yeah, but there are a lot of Malayalam films that I need to watch as well, like Kishkinda Kandam.
किसकिंदा
Uh,
कांडम या. Hmm.
I was planning to go for Sukshma Darshini, which I'm hearing a lot of good reviews about.
I'm also hearing a lot of great things about it.
I
Yeah,
couldn't go
apparently it's
theoretically.
some Hitchcockian thriller or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, so I need to watch it. And then I missed out on that film which you watched,
Which
Guruvayur. I don't remember the title.
that comedy Prithviraj.
Comedy with Prithviraj and Basil Joseph.
It's fine. It was okay. ठीक है. It was good.
Okay, I need to watch it though. I
हाँ
heard
देखो it's good.
lots of good things about it.
I was watching Paradise that
Ah,
Roshan Matthews and
Aryan and I watched it at Mami
Darshana
Festival.
Rajandan ka movie.
Rajendran. Quite
I
good.
didn't finish
But,
it. It was good only. It was going good. I did not finish it
uh,
because.
it's not exceptionally great, but I just
Hmm.
thought it's a well-made film
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
talk about. It's doing what it needs to do and say.
And Ulloroku is another movie I need to watch.
Oh,
That.
Uluru is amazing. I
Hmm.
haven't logged it on Letterboxd, but I watched it. It was great. I think again performances amazing. I think someone अपना half yearly में someone spoke about. I think
Yeah,
Devi
yeah.
spoke about
Devi. I
Uluru.
think Devi only spoke
Devi
about it.
spoke about Uluru, and I think the performances are just
Hmm.
great in that film. You
Hmm.
should watch that movie. So I mean, Malayalam cinema also like quite
Hmm.
nice. I think it's
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
be a great mixed bag of so many films for I think year
Yeah,
ends.
overall, I don't know what you know about what do you think about this year overall for movies. I think बॉलीवुड मूवीज डोंट हैव स्ट्रॉन्ग शोइंग एट ऑल इन दिस इसलिए तो इतना री रिलीजेस हो रहा है इस साल क्योंकि
Right. But I think say Merry Christmas is there. Lapata Ladies is there. I Want to Talk is there.
आई वांट टू टॉक इज ऑल वी इमेजिन इज
Uttara,
नाइट
all we imagine it's not technically Hindi, but
टेक्निकली नॉट हिंदी या
it's not
हिंदी LSD 2 इज देयर
LSD 2 is there. तो
which we both
पाँच छः तो
like.
स्ट्रेच में तो आ ही जाएगा यार आई फील
हाँ
हिंदी
5 से आ
हिंदी
जाएगा बट अगेन इट्स नॉट वेरी स्ट्रॉन्ग इसलिए इतना री रिलीजेस हो रहा है लाइक द
यार
अमाउंट ऑफ री रिलीजेस दैट हैपन दिस ईयर इज लाइक
quite
इनफिजिबल एट दिस पॉइंट इट्स लाइक
these people are I think re-releasing BV number one tomorrow
या एंड आई एम लाइक
और
डू
इसका
वी नीड
बारे
अ
में
री
मुझे आज
रिलीज
पता चल रहा है
डिड वी नीड अ री रिलीज फॉर दैट तो
आई डोंट
लाइक
नो
जी सिनेमा में कल ही आ जाएगा क्यों देख रहे हो.
नॉस्टैल्जिया के नाम पे सब बिकेगा भाई
अ, कुछ भी
So,
देख रहे हैं लोग
I think we
आजकल.
should one day sit and discuss properly about just these re-releases that have happened in the last 3 months,
भाई मेरा ही
four
अच्छा है.
months.
मैं ऐसे शहर पे रहता हूँ जहाँ पर री रिलीज भी नहीं होता है. लास्ट री रिलीज हुआ वो
I
करण अर्जुन का री रिलीज आया यहाँ पे.
I like Dhruv, Chris and I caught up on Kal Ho Na
कल हो
Ho
ना
the
हो
other
या.
day, which was I didn't realize. I mean, we've digressed completely into another territory. I didn't realize how funny that film is. And it's directed so well. Like there are comedic stretches where like there's a comedic stretch that is happening inside one house. So it's going like tuck, 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 tuck. And it's seamless. It is seamless. Like it's like banging camera moves and edit. And I'm
अगेन
like, really good.
निखिल अडवाणी
I don't think so.
sneakily
He
one of.
directed it, but
Huh? Again, I know. Nikhil Advani, again, I do think is sneakily one of the best technical directors of Bollywood. He is like he's technically
I will
so sound.
disagree. I
He's
will decide.
technically very sound. Again, Veda
I
is one
think
of those exceptions. I don't think Veda works in the second half, but the first half
yeah,
is immaculate.
I do need to watch Freedom at Midnight though to
Yeah.
have a better opinion of
D
him.
Day was very good. I liked Mumbai Diaries
This Mumbai
2611.
Diaries 2611 was good.
Very good. Uh,
वो मुझे पसंद है.
Freedom at Midnight I need
Okay,
to
I will
see.
not disagree with you.
Hmm.
Now that I've
Technically he's very sound. I have to
hmm.
admit.
But
Emotionally
then
कितना हिट होता है is a bigger question.
objectively flaws तो है ना, because not everything has worked.
Yeah, not everything has worked for a variety of reasons. Then again, जो
Yeah.
इंडस्ट्री पे हम लोग इंडस्ट्री को हम लोग डील कर रहे हैं, which is
Hmm.
Bollywood, that is an industry dealing with emotion, which is why emotion of all varieties,
Hmm.
good emotion, aggressive emotion, which is why lots of filmmakers still have jobs, even though they are not
Right.
good filmmakers. Lots of filmmakers still have jobs
Right.
because they peddle in those emotions. That is why. क्या ही कह सकते हैं उसके बारे
But yeah, I think that's pretty much on Meiyazhagan. I
में. Yeah,
it's a
Meiyazhagan and a
very
lot of things else. Yeah.
I mean, it's like meta joke only. How many meta jokes we can? I mean, Dhruv would have made some puns about talking and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
But there's another Tamil film which I watched, which I think you might like. It's called Labbar Pandu.
I need to see that. That cricket movie, right?
It's quite nice.
Hmm.
Quite
I
nice. I
also need to
watched
watch
it.
Thangalan. I haven't seen Thangal. I
Oh,
need
right.
to
You
see
haven't seen
Thangalan.
Tangaranag is again another film which I really liked.
Hmm.
Anyway,
Thangalan.
I just remembered I liked Berlin also quite a lot.
Berlin was good. Yeah,
You guys
Berlin was
discussed it,
good.
I know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
Berlin was quite good. Yeah, yeah. Not bad.
yeah, तो हो जाएगा खींच खिंचा के 5 फिल्म तो बन जाएगा अपन लोग.
Which to be fair, हिंदी पाँच
Sorry.
छह ही होते थे हर साल. ठीक है.
नहीं, आई फील अंटिल 2017 18 जो अपने को न्यूटन जैसा फिल्म मिल रहा था, न्यूटन, पिंक, ये सब
हम्म
2016
हम्म.
जब दंगल भी ऑल्सो क्वाइट लाइक पिंक था, कितना मूवी लाइक तल लाइक यूज्ड टू गेट लाइक आई फील 10 तो
अरे
वाज अ
अरे
गुड
सर
नंबर.
अरे सर वही ना. थिएट्रिकल रिलीजेस में वैरायटीज होते थे. अब तो
हम्म.
थिएट्रिकल रिलीजेस में वैरायटी नहीं है और जो
राइट.
मूवीज आ रहे हैं वो
राइट.
ओटीटी में आ रहे हैं. एंड इन ओटीटी
राइट.
like there are so many movies coming, it's hard to keep track only तो आधा से ज्यादा
We've
टाइम.
discussed no so many times now about
या या
this problem.
मैसिव
बट
प्रॉब्लम है.
ठीक
क्या
है,
ही
अभी
कर
क्या
सकते हैं.
कर सकते हैं, इट्स ओके.
या वही
चलो.
क्या कर सकते हैं उसके बारे में. हम ही पागल है. हम ही पागल है. ये भी हम लोग नुआंस से देखना चाहते हैं.
इट्स लाइक मियां अगन में एड कॉन्वर्सेशन एंड कर दिया हम लोगों ने, क्या ही कर सकते हैं, एंड
क्या
वी
ही कर
मूव्ड ऑन.
सकते हैं. एग्जैक्टली.
एंड वी
मूव
मूव
ऑन.
ऑन.
मूव ऑन.
So, great film. I think everyone listening to this episode should watch both these films. I
both these
think
films, yeah.
there'll be a lot more to discuss if Adityan comes in for like the best of the year episode, because I think it's going to make it to our list for sure. Um, Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Thank you for supporting us. Make sure you follow us on Spotify, follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts from. Thank you so much for listening. You can follow Amartya on his Instagram page at Amartya25 and on Letterboxd as well. You can follow me at pixel_baba. Thank you for listening to this episode. This is the end of the episode. Khatam.